All right, hello. We are live. We have already lost one person. It seems Katie is vanishing in the middle of right in front of our eyes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Survivor Maryland Awards Show, which is just a thing I wanted to do to commemorate what we're getting close to the end of. Katie, what are you doing? This is already happening. Her computer does not realize that we're live yet. I don't know what's going on. All right. Well, we are. Okay. I'm already losing it. I'm gonna mute Katie real quick. Let's. Okay, she's not moving anymore.
She's back.
Yes. What the hell? Sorry.
What happened?
Okay, are we good now? Sorry, I have no idea what was happening.
Take over.
Okay, are we good now? What just
Take over. All right. Katie, you got to mute.
I feel like we're good.
I don't know if we can restart. All right, I'm gonna pull myself together for this.
Okay, are we good? I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening.
Katie, we're live. Did you?
Yeah, I know, I can see we're live. Literally, I think when you launched, my computer like shut down and started freezing. So I turned on my other computer.
Katie,
and that's why I
Katie, all right, I'm gonna chat you. We got to mute your live stream.
Okay. Yeah, I know, I can see we're live. Literally, I think when you launched, my computer like shut down and started freezing. So I turned on my other computer.
I made the live.
Okay. I'm gonna chat you. We got to mute your live. Oh, my playing live stream? It's actually my fault. Okay, all right. It's been a long weekend for me, in the best of ways. I have some. Danny's here watching, transfixed by this.
It was you, Austin.
Sorry to everybody for that start. So we're just coming off, just for background. I had a surprise. A few people planned a surprise Survivor game for me, and one of the craziest things ever. It was pretty epic. We can talk about that later, but long story short, it's been quite a weekend and a really meaningful thing. But we are here tonight with everybody to recap the season overall, the All-Star season, and figure out the awards. What you guys think were the best play moments? I'm looking at Katie. I'm still dying. We have a really awesome recap panel tonight. You guys know who they are. Go over and start with Anders. Anders, you can unmute yourself. And future host of Survivor Maryland, and we have never actually had you on a recap or anything on the YouTube channel. So, Anders, welcome. How are you?
Well, actually, I have been on the YouTube channel. If you look real closely in the background in some all-star shots, you'll see me there. But hi, my name is Anders Norberg. I am the next Survivor Maryland host. I don't know what else to say. I've graduated at this point. I've already hosted all my Survivor Maryland career. So get ready for season 6 in 2020.
No, you said it was going to be sooner than that. Don't even.
I sure hope so.
Better be sooner than that. Some of your players might lose their minds a little bit. Well, Anders, thank you for coming on. It's really exciting to finally introduce you to the Survivor Maryland community, and I'm sure they are all excited. A lot of them already know you, but I'm sure they're excited to really meet you in this way. So that's our first guest tonight as I try to pull myself together. Our second guest definitely is familiar to all of you. She is the queen herself, the winner of Season 4, Survivor Maryland Guts and Glory. It is Katie. Katie, how are you?
I'm great. Aside from the craziness at the beginning of this video, you thought it was me, but it was you this whole time, Austin.
Yeah, but also I don't know what you were doing at the start. You were like,
I wasn't doing anything. When you started it, it just froze and completely shut down. If you didn't want me in, you could have just told me, Austin.
It just was really poor timing because it was right when I pressed the go live. But
Yeah, I know. It's all good. It's all good.
I'm
But
a
I'm
little-
doing good. I'm really happy to be here and talk about All Stars with you guys.
And it was so good to see you and Anders this weekend.
I
With
know,
the,
that was wild.
live game you did. I just want to say that I beat Katie. So I mean,
Wow,
you know,
that's huge.
something to be said.
That's big. If
Sorry, but she
That was
did
kind of a crazy play.
it was a crazy play. Katie got by Sunday Burquest, just for everybody's background. So that's a thing that is now in Survivor Maryland lore. It is part of the Survivor Maryland canon, and so that happened. And here's someone else, our third guest, who we have probably not heard from in a long time. I have not seen him in a long time.
in a minute.
It is the great, the beloved by everyone, Steve Sleesman. Steve, how are you?
I'm just fantastic. It's good to come back and be with some familiar faces and do some reminiscing on a good game played and talk about an awesome and exciting season that have been gripping me every week. So I'm excited to be here, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. I was talking with someone recently about how the irony of the fact that your Chiron was YouTube phenom, and this was before that Survivor Maryland became a YouTube sensation, as they say. So it's funny how that all works out.
Hey, man, I was a YouTube phenom before it was cool to be. That's the problem.
Your stardom really propelled it to where we are today.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, I would say.
Austin, you're actually in the presence of 2 YouTube phenoms. Let's not forget my past.
That's very true. I wasn't gonna bring that up unless you did, but if you were going to open up that door, let's do it. We have, not only is he the future host of Survivor Maryland, we have the former host of Total Pokemon Island, which I bet people in this chat have heard of, because the number of views on the premiere of that are way higher than anything I've ever done. So
Yeah, foreshadowing Pokemon Go right there.
Oh,
that's right.
big news.
And how does it feel to go to a lesser franchise?
I mean, it's hard. I love my work on Total Pokemon Island. It really was a dream come true, but everyone grows, everyone has to leave, and I'm happy just to do some charity work here at Survivor Maryland. Do some good for the community.
That's right. We really need it. People have been sick of me for a while. They're ready for some new blood. Well, we have 150 people watching right now. I'm glad we haven't lost every single person from that initial meltdown. So that's really great. I see a lot of questions already about the weekend game. We can talk about that. Maybe we'll do our own. Maybe in the off season we'll do a recap podcast. We'll bring on Sunday. We'll bring on whoever, and we'll add them. We'll bring on people and talk about that weekend game because it was pretty epic, and that whole thing. And it was actually, I've been like a mess all day, like tearing up, crying. We had like these emotional moments. It was really quite a thing. It was pretty great. But let's get into the business of tonight and the recap or the awards show. And the first thing I want to do is kind of talk to all 3 of them, all 3 of these people that we brought on. We haven't heard from them in a while. Ask them some questions about life, about All Stars, and then we'll get into the awards after that. But I did also, before I forget, have announcements to make about the finale. So I will get to that now. I won't hold that over you guys. My plan that we're gonna say it's the plan unless something changes. So my goal and what I think is realistic enough is that I will have the finale done by one more Survivor Maryland Monday, Labor Day Monday. I hope not too many people are traveling, but if you are and your plans by the weekend, and or by the end of the weekend, and come join us on Monday night for the ending of my generation of Survivor Maryland. One more Monday. I'm not sure if we'll start it at 7 like usual, maybe a little bit earlier since it'll be a long finale. We'll probably do a kind of reunion thing after that and have a lot of the cast on there, so it should be a lot of fun. So Monday, September 3rd, I think it is, Labor Day in the evening. That is the plan, as long as I can finish it. So that looks good. Hopefully, I know it's been a break since the last one, but that's only 2 weeks from tomorrow, so it's really not that far away. Yeah, so hopefully everybody is excited enough about that news.
Austin, how long
Yeah.
do you think the finale is going to be?
It's hard for me to know exactly until it's fully done. I would imagine it's somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. I don't think it would get to 3, but like maybe 2.5 would be reasonable. There's a lot of votes, a lot to go on, and I'm not gonna cut it too short. So, oh man, Eric Winnick in the chat, Anders. Well, what look at that. All right, so let's get to tonight.
Who's Eric Winnick? You'll find out
someday. I've been trying to get a second to send myself the notes that I have so I can put them on another window. So that's why I'm kind of been shifting around a little bit. But let's start off with talking to Anders, and I just want to have you kind of talk about your background of how you got into Survivor Maryland in the first place and how you ended up coming to host the show. So do you want to, what are you guys laughing about? Do you want to talk about that and the backstory for you there?
Sure thing. So back in my sophomore year of college, I was playing an online reality game. And at the end of the game, I mentioned that I go to the University of Maryland. And someone's like, oh my God, do you know Survivor Maryland? And I had not heard of it. And so they told me, who hosts it, all about it. I started watching it. And I was thinking, this probably happened many years ago. They probably all moved on. It's probably dead. But I saw that Austin Trupp, the host of Survivor Maryland, was still on campus. So I reached out to him on this site called Org Universe, but universe is spelled with a Y at the front. So it's often shortened to Orgy. We talked on there, and then once he friended me on Facebook, I went, hey, it's Anders from Orgy. But I was reaching out and I wanted to know, hey, could I play Survivor Maryland? Because I really love Survivor. But Austin's like, oh, no, this is my last season, so that can't happen. So I was like, all right, is anyone taking over for you? And no one was. So I said, can I? And I just started helping out with All-Stars, starting at the Hot Pursuit Challenge in episode 5, 6, whatever one. The one where Senti fucks it all up and Sierra goes home. That was the first thing I started helping out with. Austin said, want to come to a 2 a.m. tribal. I said, okay. And it's just spiraled from there.
So how like what made you feel confident enough or want to actually host it? Because that's like not something everybody would just be willing to do if they weren't able to play.
Well, I've always really loved Survivor and Big Brother and games like that. And Survivor Maryland just seemed like such a cool thing that no other college had. And for it to disappear, I was disappointed that I wouldn't be able to play, but I was thinking this would be super cool just to be able to keep going on. I'd love to, see what I can create and see, really help other people achieve the same dream I have of playing this game, of doing it on camera, of doing whatever, being on the real show. So while I don't get to personally live out what I want to do, I'm helping other people. And that was a lot of satisfaction. Plus, I'm not the one having stress dreams or crying about it or like fighting. I get to watch all of it. It's great. It's free entertainment during college.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really fun thing to host. It's definitely a lot of work. And I mean, certainly myself and also probably everybody here tonight appreciates that you did have the ambition to take that over, because I thought at that time it was totally dying. I thought it was over, it run its course, and that was going to be great, but you resurrected it. So what was it like when you mentioned that you came to these kind of crazy things right away? You jumped in right in the middle of the season. You didn't know anybody. What was it like jumping in on the All-Stars crew and being part of this season?
I mean, it was very intimidating at first because everyone in All-Stars has such big personalities and there's so much game going on. And I didn't know any of the game. The only things I was seeing were the challenges and tribals. So, when I show up to these challenges and tribals and people are yelling at each other and they're fighting, I'm just watching it all from the sideline, just going, all right, I don't know what's going on. I'm just here to film it. Okay, these two people are walking off yelling at each other. I've got to film it. But what was really cool,
to be clear, you started off your filming career by filming vertically, and I think it was Chris Lecomte and Eric were yelling at you saying that's not what you're supposed to do. So good on them.
Yes, they helped me with that. And by being on the crew, there were only like 2 or 3 people on crew. It was you, me, Alex Burkow, and then Steve sometimes. So being so few people on this crew, the players, connected with me. Like Victoria would talk to me, Chris Thomas would talk to me. Everyone would talk to me at a certain point, but I think at first it was just like no one knew who I was. No one was really reaching out to me because they were all players. They're focused on what's going on. But once they started talking to me, it became a lot more like a community. I felt like I was one of the players, except they didn't hate me because I was never going to vote them out. And I think that's really helpful because once I started to take over the game, I used a lot of the All-Stars as crew because they had been a part of it. They wanted to continue it. And I think it was just really cool to join the community and branch out from there.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool to have you on there. I remember people saying, "Oh, is Anders going to take over?" So those were fun times back in the day. Did you? So when you were kind of behind the scenes during that semester, thinking about taking it over, were you 100% confident always that you were like, "This is good, I'm going to host," or was seeing all of it actually happen and how crazy it was and everything? Did that make you want to host more? Or did it make you kind of more scared of doing it and taking it up?
I think the fact that my first tribal was at 2 a.m., they were all drunk, they were yelling at each other, I think that just cemented the fact that I need to do this. I can't live my life doing any other boring club. Like, I need to be there watching this, stoking this drama. This is just what everyone dreams of doing with Survivor. And it was super intimidating. I mean, I saw how you hosted, and all I could think was, I don't know how I'm going to live up to this. I mean, you kept saying to me, you'll learn. It's okay if it's not great at first. But it definitely was intimidating, but there was never a point where I said, I don't want to do this. I always wanted to do this. And just being a part of All-Stars showed me that this is what I can achieve. This is my goal. This is what I need to strive for, or even pass beyond.
Right. And I think like the confidence you had in that, I think, is the only way it works. Like if you're doubting yourself in it or not thinking that you definitely, if you're on the fence about it, it's impossible to host. Like you have to be so all in.
And something that was great, I just also is that Evan was actually the first person to really like reach out helping for the next season, which is really cool because it showed that I wasn't just going to be on my own once you left. Like the players involved did want to keep working. Evan wanted to help me. Micah wanted to help me. Chris Lecomte, Holly, like there was real passion for them guiding me, helping me. And that was really
Evan
great.
turned out to be your best crew member.
Evan was my best crew member.
So
Allegedly.
When he shut up.
Did you find yourself rooting for people in real time while you were watching from this crew perspective? Like, did you feel like you were? Because I feel like I'm like kind of removed and neutral, and I can see storylines. But for you, like kind of joining it right then, did you feel like you were rooting for people in particular, or you were neutral to everybody?
Oh no, I was super biased, but I never like did anything about it. I was just like. Chris Thomas and Victoria were the first 2 people to talk to me, and they kept talking to me. When Chris was in that tribe swap, every time that his tribe lost, which was every time, he kept saying, "This is it. I'm going home." And he kept talking to me because he hated everyone else on the tribe. So he and I got close, and then Victoria and I talked a lot. And so once Merge came and, it was these 2 working together, fighting together, I was all about it. I was talking to them. I was loving it. When they got that partner twist and then they got the immunity on the Xfinity stairs, I was clapping. I was living for it. I was so happy. I didn't hate the Tops Alliance, as they call themselves, or whatever, but I was just super close with Chris and Victoria because they talked to me. So I was like, yes, I want them to win. And the fact that they're both in the final 5, I'm like, yes.
So once you did take over, and I'm certainly your hosting experience will reveal itself in time, but once you took over, what was it like starting off and like jumping into it and being the person that has to be responsible for all of it?
So it was really hard. It's so much easier to watch someone else host because you're like, oh, this is easy, making everything go smoothly, explaining the challenge, talking during the challenge, really guiding what needs to happen, what the protocol is, how to act. It seems so simple, but once you're in it, there's just so much, and it can become overwhelming. Like when I'm editing, I'm really trying to avoid hearing myself in any of the challenges because it is awful. I hope I get better. Otherwise, this is going to be very long. But in the beginning, I was unsure about things. I didn't know any of the tribal council speeches, so I had to do them a million times over and over. Players wouldn't
You
know
got it down
exactly.
though, Anders.
Thank God. But at first it was hard because I needed to instill some sort of legitimacy in myself to the players. I needed to show that I was in control and that they could trust me. But it is a steep learning curve, learning how to do confessionals, learning to be confidential, learning to be the person they can come talk to, learning how to explain a challenge. It was hard, and I think that there were definitely low points in my hosting. I don't think it shows, or hopefully it won't show, but I definitely got better. And I think first season, I think you're very lucky, Austin, in that your first season was not a real show. So like all of the mistakes that you made just aren't there. But my first season is going to be a little rough in terms of hosting. Not bad, just it won't be as good as it will be in the future.
Right. That's okay. I think people will understand that it's really hard to do the first time, and it certainly improves a lot.
Oh, and you know what was the hardest thing to do? And it's still so hard to watch these. The tribal councils, I was so bad at asking questions and like getting answers. I mean, in general, it's hard to do that, but God, season 6, me and tribal in the beginning, we did not get along. I just remember after every tribal, Austin, Chris LeCompte, anyone who was there would be like, yeah, okay, that was good, but here's what you can do next time that wouldn't be terrible.
Well, Anders, what you guys can expect is Anders is a lot sassier than I am, and I have moments that people like when they come up, but Anders will bring you the sass, and certainly at Tribal Council.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes the nice thing about All Stars Tribal Council is that they were kind of like a lot of wars between players, a lot of greed fights. Anders is going to bring you the fights between the them and him, which is I think also fun. So we can look forward to that and the competitions there. I hope you leave some of those in the edit. So a couple more questions, and I want to talk to Katie and Steve for a bit too. But I got a question from one of the fans saying, up to you how much you want to share on this, but they did ask. So what can you tell us about either twists or themes or anything that we can look forward to in your season so we can be excited about?
So I'm not gonna. I have 5 seasons, but I'm not gonna spoil anything of the last 4 just because who knows when that'll come out. But for season 6. It's titled New Beginnings because it is sort of a new start. These are all new players. They aren't they're connected somewhat to the old players, but it's all new strategy. Everything is new. The whole idea is that it is sort of a restart. So if you're expecting someone like Schubel or someone like Chris LeCompte, they're not going to be there. But that's okay because the whole idea is that this is a new generation. This is a whole new thing. Real Survivors never had a change of host. It's been very much Jeff leading it and characters who can be similar. But this is sort of I'm trying to do a whole reset. I want it to be fresh. This is my Survivor Maryland, and that can be good and bad. Obviously, Austin has built up a great reputation, and I hope to live up to that reputation. But I'm not going to be like Austin, and it'll be good. It'll just be new. In terms of twists, I guess I can tell you that there's 19 players in season 6. Whoa.
Exile?
What?
I said exile?
You'll find out.
So one question that kind of jumps off that is someone did ask with the kind of the mainstream success of All Stars that's it's coming into the picture a lot. How do you feel about going into your seasons like with kind of this like hype train right now? And I mean, you talked about the kind of difficulty of coming in new, but how are you feeling about that?
So All Stars is an amazing season. One part because the players and everything that happened is incredible, but for the most part, Austin, you've just like the editing is beautiful. You've really mastered the craft, and like even if this season wasn't amazing in its actual playing out, you've made it something just god tier. Like it's so hard to compare anything to All Stars just because it's so great. But I do feel confident that I have seasons that can rival All Stars in terms of quality. Season 6, I'm not going to say is worse than All Stars. It's just different. They're not All Stars. They haven't played before. So these players are a little, rough around the edges. They're figuring things out. Sometimes it's a little ridiculous. But there is strategy. There are things that are going to be going on, but it's not going to be all stars. And I think people just need to measure their expectations. Not that they won't. Just be prepared. Some episodes will be more obvious than others. Sometimes there won't be as big of fights. But I can tell you there will be moments in season 6 that will be really fun for you. Maybe we're not so much fun for me in the moment. But season 6 is good. It's different from All Stars.
Right. Well, in that sense, what's one thing about Austin's hosting that you think you can improve on or could improve on or that should be improved? I didn't make that question. It was asked.
This is where you can roast Anders.
Yeah. You can roast me. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
I think Austin was a great host all around. I can't really think of any glaring issues he had, probably because at the time.
Boo!
All right, if there's one thing that Austin wasn't good at,
Come on,
and I think I'm better at, is he said I'm sassy, which I completely agree with. But I think I have a little bit better or more power behind me, and I think I instill a little more fear in my players than Austin did. So they may not want to answer my questions, but they will listen when I'm telling them to do something because they're scared of me. But I'm good host. They all like me for the most part. I think that Austin was just sometimes a little too soft with his players, as Chris Thomas would put it.
He called you soft. Are you gonna take that out?
So sometimes he would just like let them walk over him. You know, he's friends with Chris Klump, so if Chris.
When did they walk over me?
Wow.
It happens. It's like when you're trying to explain a challenge or something, they're just like not listening or whatever. Or you're asking them to do something at tribal and they're just completely ignoring you.
Let me. God, I have one challenge I'm thinking of your seasons. Whew.
Austin is getting
look, Austin.
Oh.
First of all, don't ask me this question if you don't want me to answer it.
I'm just no valid answer. Valid answer. All right. Well, so last question is for you is what's your plan now that you've graduated? Because you did graduate from college. You've turned it over. So what's going on with your life?
So I did just graduate in May, and in about a week, I'm moving to Los Angeles to pursue a career in unscripted television, so stuff like Survivor. It's terrifying. I am super sad that I'm leaving. You know, I helped plan and sort of host what happened this weekend. And it was really fun. But then I left and I felt sad because I'm like, oh no, I'm leaving all these Maryland players here in Maryland and I might not see them for a while. Doesn't mean I won't see them again. It's just like, I've been here for 4 years. I love all the people that I've met, and now I'm just saying, all right, see ya, West Coast, best coast. Am I right? But I'm excited for it. If someone asks me what my job is, I'll tell them I don't have one yet, but there are things. There's things that are coming up. So yeah,
what the fuck was that?
Oh, sorry, my sounds. Don't worry. I'll be fine.
You know, I think that should have been your answer. What I can improve on is sounds like that.
Austin was never the funny one. Oh, that's something. Austin's jokes were terrible.
Just dragging.
I think that question was long gone, Anders.
Well, I think it needs to be brought up.
All right. Well, thank you, Anders, for that interview. I hope everybody got a great picture of who Anders is in the future seasons and is ready for that. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's talk to Katie for a bit. Katie, how are you doing in general? What are you up to now? Since we probably talked. I don't know. Was it 2 years ago now? I guess about 2 years ago when Guts and Glory finished airing.
Yeah, I know, that's crazy to me because I feel like at least after this reunion this weekend, it's all fresh in my mind all over again. But I'm doing good. I miss college a lot, honestly. I'm in consulting now, so I'm traveling a lot. Monday through Thursday, I'm on client site, so I'm in New Hampshire now. But yeah, adulting, it's a lot. It hit me real hard because I was abroad last semester too. I feel like college was just like the best 4 years of my life, 4.5 years. So that was just definitely a tough transition, but I'm getting into it and it's fun. It's definitely has its pros and cons to it too. But yeah, it was really good this weekend to get together with everyone again.
Yeah, I think with adulting, like once you kind of settle into your place and your routine, as long as you're happy with it in general, like there's something nice to have that structure. And
yeah,
like I remember the first time I was just like relaxing on Sunday and I was doing nothing and I was like, oh man, I probably have homework to do. And then I realized I just didn't have homework to do.
Yeah,
and it was really great.
true. That's true.
So, any big plans for you moving forward, or things on the horizon for you, or just kind of living things right now, day by day?
Just living day by day, but a long term, I actually want to be on the West Coast too. So maybe I'll be joining Anders in LA. We'll see.
Sounds like the
Yeah,
next
that's the goal.
weekend's going to be in the West Coast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
then
West Coast.
Adam won't have to fly as far. There you
I
go.
know, right? I heard there's a Survivor in LA too, like a day long or
It
weekend
used to
thing.
be Survivor Brooklyn, but now they're in LA. But you can play that game if you want, Katie.
Yeah, maybe
You're not contractually obligated to Maryland, so
one day.
it is also one day, so that's true. Yeah,
Uh,
that was a bad joke. That's what Anders was talking about. All right, so let's go back to when we were in college, and you just come off winning Guts and Glory. Woo, yay! Would you have wanted to play All Stars if you'd been around? Because I've said before you were studying abroad that semester after.
Well, I don't know. See, I feel like right after it happened, if you had asked me, I feel like I would have said no because I was content with it, and I felt like that was like a good experience. I wouldn't have wanted to sour the experience, but I don't know. Maybe if I had time to think about it a little more, I would have wanted to because it was such a fun experience, and I know that that's once in a lifetime to be able to play with All Stars, everyone who would be genuinely invested in the game. So I don't know. I think it would have been a toss-up, but I think there would have been a good chance I would have played. But I think I've told you this, Austin, before, that I think if I played with those people, I think I would have gotten eaten alive because when I played in season 4, I had never seen Survivor before. I was just like enjoying my time. I was definitely not that paranoid, like compared to half the people in All Stars that they were playing. So I feel like I could have just got like played by someone like Shubal or like LeCompte or like I don't know, Victoria, someone that's like extremely strategic at the game.
Well, you played with the people this weekend. It's not like you.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, well, that was also like a one-day thing, and I feel like by now, I mean, I've seen Survivor. I think I kind of feel like I get how the game works more. But if I played straight going in there, I would have been just like, I don't know, a lost sheep.
So I don't think that's true, but I think one of your skills is that you're adaptable. So I don't agree that you would be just hapless in there. So here's a question I got for both the winners. So we'll have Steve jump in on it too in a second to get him, make sure he's awake and alive.
We're doing good.
But watching your season back and seeing the fan reaction, how did it affirm, or this is the wording they use, so nice wording of affirm, but how did it affirm or change your perceptions of how you played and won?
That was my question.
That was Andy's question. I forgot about that.
Thank you for the compliment.
Steve, you want to start?
Sure. I mean, it was definitely different, and I'd also say like even now, you start to see more comments about because typically when people say I want to get into Survivor Maryland, you tell them to start at Survivor Outback, Maryland Outback. So scrolling through Twitter every week and the hashtag Survivor Maryland, every once in a while you get little glimpses of people that are rewatching it and stuff like that, and it's very interesting. I mean, in game, I did not. I guess when you watch it back, like Chris was the big player, right? Like I was very much like his right hand man. It felt like watching it back, but while we were playing, it didn't feel as much like that because I was very much good friends and working with and talking with a lot of the people that we played with at the same time. So Chris, as you guys all know, is someone who's just constantly going, and I love that about him. But I feel like in the game, I'd always thought like if it was me and Chris at the end, I would have won. But watching it back, I think that was probably an inaccurate thing to think. So while I did think at the time, it was good for my gameplay had he left at the time he did back in season 2, I didn't realize how necessary that was actually for me to actually end up where I did in that season. So it was pretty eye-opening for me. But I think there were some scenes that didn't get filmed and maybe some relationships that I had with people outside of Chris kind of always being there that could have helped make the arc a little bit more believable and make a little bit more sense. So it was surprising in that way. But I mean, at the end of the day, I still did win a lot of challenges. I felt that was pretty good. And also, obviously, Chris was always the one willing to take the risk, but it wasn't just him executing it all the time. So The real crazy thing is how far we did get, as kind of a duo in that game when everyone knew it from the day we started, and how much that actually played to our advantage and what we were able to do, kind of acting as two the whole time.
That's really interesting, and I agree that, especially with Outback. I mean, back in the day, we weren't, every piece of footage I always say was filmed by me. Like I had to be there.
Right.
So like, it's different in terms of it captures a story pretty much, but it doesn't capture everything. And also like, those kind of smaller moments in the social relationships that you have, like I don't think they're not easy to show and to put through, but especially without all the footage, it's tough. But
yeah, no, I mean, very much. What's that?
Well, you've always kind of said to me, like, because you see the fan comments, and some people like you and some people don't, and whatever.
Right.
It's who are for Siona or for Chandler or whatnot, but to me, it's always like it's been water off your back. Like you enjoyed the experience, you enjoyed winning, and you kind of like. To me, it seems like you enjoy reading it, but maybe.
Oh no, absolutely. Every time when that article came out, and I was reading like a Washington Post article about like Siona's speech against me, like that was like giving me life. Like I was like that was 5 years ago, and here we are. Like this is like the coolest thing ever. But no, I know. No, it was interesting. But I think to your point, absolutely. Like in All Stars, like anytime, like these people would be like thinking, and they'd be filming themselves in case like they said something out loud that might have been interesting. And like in our season, it was either you filming or like I think by the time like merge hit, we started to like figure out when to like film ourselves and stuff like that.
You had a couple iPad scenes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Chris pulling his iPad around, like we'll just carry his iPad around with him by the time merge hit, because anytime that anything
24/7,
he would pull it out. So I mean, I think overall, I mean, it still captured all of it, and as with any watch through, I mean, there's still things that people were saying, and I was like, wow, like, yeah, I did not see that in the season. Or like, you're always surprised when you hear people's confessionals, behind closed doors. But overall, I wouldn't have changed how I played. That's for sure.
Yeah, look, if you win, don't change much.
Hey, want to know, man? Want to know?
We'll get back to you. I have a question on that, but going back to Katie and your perception, or how it was to kind of watch back and see that, and we talked about it a little bit in the real time, but I feel like that was still really fresh right after.
Yeah, definitely.
So since then you've had time to reflect. I don't know what's your take on that.
So I think for one, similar to what Steve said, it was really eye-opening to see like how hard other people were playing, and just seeing like certain things I had no idea was really happening. Like seeing how I guess, can I say spoilers or should I?
In Guts and Glory?
Yeah, it's fine, right?
At least you as the winner.
I don't know. Okay, well, I think like for one, when seeing how the Soka trio went and like found the idol, the one that like I got the clue from Alex from, because it was literally like within, I want to say like 30 minutes after like I decided to go, and it was pouring outside, and I was like, oh, I'll probably just go later, because I didn't even realize that someone else could have possibly had a clue. That, and then also I guess like seeing how hard Evan was playing, like he was like lying to Micah about like he acted like he never found the idol and like went with him, and I was just like, wow, like I feel like I was playing such a straightforward game, because again, like I had no like perception of like, I feel like if I had seen Survivor, it probably would have helped me more to like get ideas and kind of understand what people were thinking. But in a way, I think it was good too, like just having a fresh mindset and being able to like just openly try to like understand the game and people and relationships better too, without like overthinking every single thing. And then also I think it reaffirmed my game as a whole and the way I chose to play, because I think for one, like as you could tell in Final Tribal, people weren't very happy with me or Molly or Matt. Like they kind of thought like they were voting like the best of the shittiest kind of thing, which is a really shitty feeling when I felt like I played really well. I felt like I had a good strategy going in and it was strong. So it was really frustrating for me. And even after winning, I still felt like kind of, like iffy about it all. Like I don't know. It's just like, okay, cool. Like you voted me to win, but do you really think I deserved it? But I think I was really thankful watching the season play out. And, when it came out on YouTube, I was really thankful to you, Austin, for being able to portray how I actually played. And I think not only from like the viewer standpoint, but I think players in our season were able to see that I actually was playing really hard the whole time, that I wasn't hiding behind Alex. And So that was really nice to see. And I think it was just like really awesome to see a lot of support for the most part from the viewers.
Yeah, and I know like you and I do this sometimes too, is like internalize the negative comments a lot more than even if there's so many more positive. But do you feel like overall it's been a much more of a positive experience?
Yeah, definitely. I think at first, I think it's easy to just like hone in on all the bad stuff. You're like, what, like, I don't know what I could have done differently. But I mean, looking back now, I think I wouldn't change the way I played. And I think maybe I would have played a little harder if I had known. But I think either way, I'm happy with the way I played. And I'm thankful for all the fans and for everyone for being so supportive in general.
You should be happy. So let's go into talking All-Stars a little bit. So what's it been like for you to actually watch it now? Because you heard about it a little bit back you were abroad and whatever, and you are connected to the community. But now actually watching it happen, what's that been like?
Honestly, it's been so crazy because I feel like I was getting these like updates like every, I don't know, like few tribals, maybe every few weeks from Austin. There were like these huge paragraphs of text of what was going on, but I was trying to follow along, but like I did not know that it was going to be this wild. I didn't know there were so many twists in the game. Like it was just so crazy. Like every single tribal so far has been like wild. And I think like while I had a general idea of what was happening, it was still like so much strategy involved. And what I love the most about All Stars in general is how fluid all the alliances are. Like it wasn't like, like in Guts and Glory, it wasn't like a pagonging where you just see like one side kind of dominating. And it's so cool to see like all the individual relationships play out as each vote went on. And like even with like the Rocks tribal, I thought that was like super intense, and it was different than like our Rocks tribal, right? I felt like ours was very straightforward and you could see it coming, but theirs was just like, what the hell?
So I got some questions about how you think the other Guts and Glory players did. And I asked someone else in general, but you had interesting connections with kind of all of them. Alex Pascal was the first one out of this
that was
season.
really sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, people online I know hyped up your relationship like as like you guys were in love more than it actually was, but you guys still had close in the game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like while the edit showed like I was super aggressive and cutthroat, like as soon as I won the Final Four, I was like, I'm gonna get his ass out. I genuinely did feel super bad about it because he made me feel super guilty and was like, it's about honor, gave me a whole speech and started like yelling at me. I was like really upset and I felt super bad. So I wanted him to do really well in All Stars, and that was really unfortunate. I think like I don't think it was like super out of the question for him to be like an early boot if he didn't get along, considering it was like a girls guys divide, but that obviously sucked. And then there was Evan, Shannon, and Micah, who I like had not really a good relationship with throughout the season, but it was like all, it was all the game. I'm glad that like they were playing so hard. I was really impressed with their game. I would say I was most impressed by Shannon's game because she really did go out and play for herself, and I love that she went out and was like getting to know everybody and didn't kind of like stick with her Soka trio and the people she already kind of had. She was really like talking to everyone. You could see that.
Yeah. What about your girl Michelle?
Oh, Michelle. Well, obviously, I was rooting for Michelle always. I was kind of unfortunate what happened to her because actually, I think she had been texting me when that happened, but it was so last minute. She was like, "Oh my gosh, Katie, like I think I'm gonna get voted out. Like, what do I do? What do I do?" But at that point, she already kind of like screwed herself. And I think she didn't even realize that like she didn't lie and she will made that whole thing up. So it was kind of unfortunate, and I don't know. I wish that I don't know if something would have happened differently if she wasn't, if she was on a different tribe at the time, where maybe she could have better built that relationship with Shubal earlier. But yeah, that was just kind of unfortunate, and I wish I could have helped out if I was there.
I don't think the Shubal train was running Michelle over with
Yeah.
you didn't even slow down. It just
I know that was really sad. What a dick, Shubal.
I will say as a just a mild thing from the weekend that Michelle in her third Survive Maryland game did make the merge, and she when it was announced that we merged, she literally like danced around the entire room like it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen and pretty incredible. So the Michelle redemption is real. It happened. So
Yeah.
I think that's a
You did better
fun
than I
thing.
did.
That's true also, but it was pretty close. All right. Let me see. Did I have any other questions for you? I think that's a good point for now. Let's go over to Steve for a bit. And Steve, as we've said, it's been a long time since I've seen you and since these people have seen you, except for Fiona roasting you in the intro of All Stars. So
yeah, absolute roast. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna be really excited to watch this season. Like it's gonna be a great time. And here I'm sitting and it's like, yeah, that's never gonna die, I guess, but that's okay.
I guess I spoiled the weekend season. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize I was.
It's never gonna come out. It wasn't filmed, so I might as well just.
I know.
Say it all. We're gonna make everyone curious.
I just see people yell spoilers, and I'm like, what happened? But okay. But how are you doing in general?
Oh, we're doing all right, man. I live out in Kansas City now, so it's
not permanently.
Not permanently. So I'm coming back to the East Coast in less than a month, actually. But been out here working at a factory, working some night shifts, and Survivor Maryland's been keeping me going, man. In those Survivor Maryland Mondays. So I'm glad that my like last week here will be like the last Survivor Maryland All Stars. So it's a fitting way to end the year for me out here. But other than everything, what's that?
How long have you been in Kansas for?
A year.
Okay. Because you're in a rotation thing, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a rotational program. So I was in Connecticut last year, and then Kansas City this year, Missouri, of course. But no, everything's good, man. Just went back home, to Albany for one of my friends' weddings, and I'm excited to move back to the East Coast and get back to a normal schedule. So it's good to be back, though, man. I know it's like I was telling you earlier, it's been 5 years since I played, so it's been really awesome to see the All Stars take off and everyone getting really excited about it. It's been wild watching it. As maybe some of you guys know, like I lived with Chris and Eric, but I, as Anders alluded to before, like I started off the season, kind of as a support and as a hand, and then I just got real busy and tied up and kind of faded from I was probably like top 14 or 15 on is really when I stopped. I can't remember the last challenge I went to.
I think it might have been like the Steal the Bacon Fluke return.
Yeah.
No. He was at the Trivia Bola one. I remember.
Oh, that's right. You were at the.
That's the first time I met the Steve Sleesman.
What a privilege.
It really.
It is crazy. I will clarify for your sake that it wasn't like you were just like busy with life or whatever. Like you were literally the head of Terpthon on campus.
Yes. Yeah. That was what I was busy with. So we were planning our dance marathon for the campus, and that had tied me up for pretty significantly during the chunk of Survivor Maryland All Stars. So it worked out. I mean, I'm sure you probably would have liked to have more help on hand at the time, but I'm having a blast right now because I don't know how this thing ends. So like somehow, some way, I just said at the time, whatever, 3 years ago now or whatever it was, no spoilers. So I was getting bits and pieces. Every once in a while you'd see, people coming through down in our basement, all those confessionals and stuff like that. But never really, knew too much of what was going on. And especially once Chris got voted out, I really was pretty removed from the process. So it's been exciting to come back and kind of watch this thing, take off. Like I think everyone said before, Austin, you've done a killer job for sure.
Doing my best, and sorry that my All Stars editing skills weren't there for season 2. I wasn't quite.
That's all right.
I was also in preparation. I watched a few things of yours in preparation this year for first year old YouTube videos, which are always great. But also I rewatched the moment where Zandria tosses the egg over your head, almost into Chris Thomas, and your reaction, and my 04 tuna with like the 20.65 feet graphic. Man, Outback me had some great moments.
Dude, you did an excellent job. You got to keep feeding people to Outback as the starting point, man, for sure.
What was it like? I mean, watching yourself, like, well, we talked about in terms of like the game and stuff, but like you got like a piece of the fan reaction, like it started to come. Like, how did you how does it feel to watch now with like the the 5 times as many people.
It's weird, right? Because as you allude to, like, I was a YouTube phenom, but everything I'd ever uploaded was like I filmed it myself, and then I chose what was on the internet. I still got significant amount of like hate and like a lot worse, but like I was like I could at least defend it because I was like, well, I put this on and all that stuff. But when you kind of just are filming yourself, you send all the footage to the black hole that is Austin, and then he kind of regurgitates it into a beautifully episode, and then you're like, oh wow, like. Context is everything in terms of how you're portrayed. If I say one thing like, oh, I really trust Ryan, and then you cut to the next clip of like Ryan saying, I can't wait to backstab Steve, for example, or something like that. Like, it just makes you look like an idiot, and you would have no idea at the time that you were looking like an idiot. So it was really interesting to watch back. But like I said, I think you did a good job with it and kind of held true to what actually happened, given the amount of footage that you had.
Oh, what was it like watching? You talked earlier about Chris LeCompte. So going into All Stars, what was it like watching him play again, and how did you think he did?
Well, look, Chris is a legend in Survivor Maryland lore, that's for sure. I guess I would say, like, as some behind the scenes, like, if you guys thought Chris played hard like on camera, like, you didn't even see him off camera. Like, there was no off game for Chris LeCompte during season 2, during season 5. And that's just who he is, and that's part of what makes him such a legend and such a good player. But I felt like he kept trying to come away from that super aggressive game that he ultimately couldn't get away from. He's always touted for his ability to get to know everyone and have those strong relationships, like beyond the game of Survivor, relationships with people. Which is ultimately what made it so hard for people to actually vote him out, even though they knew he had these strong relationships, is because they felt that way about him. And I think it's just crazy how that ended up ultimately being what put him in, is his inability to really pick a side and go with it. And that inner struggle was something I know was difficult, but it makes for just great television. And really, I think that's, watching his arc over the 2 seasons is what makes Survivor Maryland so great, because it's those like real college experiences of like people like actually, like, Chris still has to talk to these people, right? Like, they don't just get voted off and then like go back home to wherever they came from. Like, the game never really ends, and as you guys can see with how much Survivor Maryland has taken off, like, it really hasn't ended for a lot of these people. So it was always something in play, but no, it was awesome to watch him play in it, for sure. I think Eric didn't do as good of a job as the second hand, but that's all right.
So I had a couple of questions I want to ask off of your experience with Outback people, because there's 2 Outback people in the finale. So you got 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So two of your squad made it in, and are you surprised with how Chris Thomas and Ashley did this season? Like, did you think they had this kind of potential in them? And you could talk separately about either of them, but what were your thoughts on those 2 and how they've gone through All Stars?
Well, Chris Thomas's arc has been pretty wild for me. For whatever reason, like, I think it was just because we were on different floors in our dorm, which, again, like, this is Survivor, like, this is college Survivor, right? Like, because we were on floor 3, like, Chris and I were on floor 3, Chris LeCompte and I were on floor 3, and Chris Thomas and Phil and then we're on floor 2. Like, it was just like, cool, like, we're mortal enemies. Like, this is great. Like, we're coming in and we are voting this other team out. But then, like, me and Chris started becoming like friends. Like, me and Chris Thomas, too many Chris's. And like, I started like really like him, and I was like, well, it's too late. Like, we're already like mortal enemies. Like, my alliances have been set. The line has been drawn. But no, like, me and Chris Thomas, came a long way. We put on some sports teams together, for sure. Played Quidditch together for a little bit, which was awesome. But I think he's come a long way in terms of how his gameplay has acted. I think, whether he knew it or not in the beginning of All Stars, like, he was playing a certain way that was going to get him to the point he is right now. And I think once he started realizing that, as time went on and as he kept kind of sneaking by, he was able to turn that into like a strategy that actually worked out. And it's been really fun to watch him. I think a lot of people have been surprised by Chris. He's not that masked figure that showed up at a tribal council that one time. He's a guy that people can actually trust and can work with. So I mean, yeah, he's been one of my favorite players this whole season for sure. And then Ashley, she surprised me too. I mean, there's definitely something to be said about a redemption. And I think, you would be surprised, if she does end up getting to the end or something like that, if she has a better chance than what people online think and what people in the game are currently saying. The reason I say that is when I took Nicole to the final, I thought it was going to be like 8-1 or whatever it was. Like I thought I was going to absolutely run away with it. And then it ended up being 5-4. And like, you just never know what people are taking to the vote and what you can say to really swing the votes at a final tribal in terms of how you want to portray your story. Because she's been playing, right? I mean, she has the resume of someone who's not a GOAT. So if she were to ever get there, she could probably change some people's minds. So I really like that she came in and said, I'm going to play differently. Like I watched back, kind of like how you were asking me, like what was it like watching back? She came in and was like, I watched how I played in season 2. That's not who I want to be. And there's been times when maybe that she hasn't been able to completely come away from that. But there is something to be said of where she is right now and how she's actively been trying to do things differently, knowing how it worked out. So, I'm glad we got 2 in there. With like a 40% chance going into the finale. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if Ashley went full away from Ash, like 0 fights, 0 confrontations, like that's part of what we love about Ashley. Both
right.
as not just like as a character on a show, but like I don't know. I think Ashley is one of like someone that I love spending time with because I never know what's going to happen, and she's unpredictable. And
and I think too, again, going back to like the beauty of college Survivor that is Survivor Maryland is like you can't come into this game and say like I'm going to completely be someone else, because then you have to be that someone else like 24/7, and whenever you're not like authentic or treat yourself for 24/7, like you're just going to like drive yourself mad. So like, yeah, you can't totally go away from your identity. So I think watching that develop for all the characters is what makes something great about this. I mean, you could come into like Survivor, real CBS Survivor. People have no idea what to do about you, and you can completely rewrite what people think about you. But here people come in with preconceived notions of previous seasons, and then they've seen you for the 2 years in between season 2 and season 5. So if you come in and you're a completely different person, they're going to see right through it. So it's how do you manage? I want to change a couple aspects of it without people thinking that this is like totally fake. And I think she's done a pretty good job of that, getting to where she has now. So it's a beautiful game.
How'd you feel about Senti's second round?
Oh, Nicole.
You feel validated in your win?
Oh, absolutely, man. I can't believe she went out that way. It was her own plan. Anyways, I feel like Nicole. Nicole, I kind of like what I was just saying. She was never able to separate who she truly was in that final moment. When you have to make those small decisions, kind of like the decision that Shannon would make. Knowing what it meant outside the game, but knowing what it was going to do for her in game, or what she thought it was going to do for her in game. And I think, at the end of it, when, doesn't matter what you say, all that matters is what you write down at the end of the day. Right. At the end of it, that's, that was, I guess, Senti's fatal flaw. So.
And my last question for you is, if you had been an All-Stars, how would you have played? And I forgot to ask about, I mean, you declined to play. Was the main reason that you were busy, or the main reason that you were like, want to know I'm good? I think
want to know I'm good is a pretty, like, still undefeated as of this day. I just want to be clear. But no, I think want to know was a big reason, but definitely too busy to play. And I think in hindsight, like watching it back, like I kind of wish I had played, just because it like I know all these people. It looks like it was a really intense game. But at the same time, like I know for sure I would not have been able to do what these guys are doing with everything else that's going on. I'm pointing that way, like that's where my TV is. Like I want to, it's just like that's just where I watch it. Like I don't know what like
Ben, they're all there, the whole cast.
Yeah, like hey guys, how you doing?
Wait, Austin, I have a question about that. Would you have allowed Steve and Katie to come back and play? I thought the whole idea was like, someone here who has never won will have the chance to win. That's pretty cool, right? Like that whole
That's what
opening.
I said, because there weren't any winners in.
But you would have allowed winners.
If they were interested
Yeah.
in winners, yeah.
I think Austin, remember when you
Like just one of us too?
the biggest thing was like, are you willing to put in the effort needed to make this all-star season an all-star season? And all the people that were in it were willing to put in the time, as you guys have all seen. So it would have been a disservice to me to join that game knowing that I was not going to be able to put in the time needed to make it what I want it to be. But yeah, I mean, it would have been fun. I would have definitely tried to do some things different. I think I would have come in, like the partner twist would have been really interesting of how that turned out for me. Because going in, I would definitely try as best I could to separate myself from Chris in terms of, there's two ways you can do it, right? You can go the Holly and Ashley route and just be the tight duo for the whole game. Or you can kind of go like the Soka trio route where, they tried to start distancing themselves as best they could to not become a target. So a lot of it would have depended on, who the partner twist I got was, that led to kind of, do I just link up with LeCompte and Eric? We're all living together. It'd be real easy. Or do I kind of rely on my partner twist, partner and go in some different routes? I definitely would have tried to make a bigger name for myself, as opposed to making a name as a duo, I would say. But who knows? Could have very easily been that first one voted out.
Yeah, and to go off, I know Katie. Well, I don't know where she went. Katie's like moved around her entire house. But to answer the question before, I mean, the winner's second chance thing, I hadn't. I would reach out to everybody to figure out the cast, and it became clear that Katie couldn't do it, and Steve probably wasn't going to do it. It would have been weird to have one winner. I don't think I would have. But if it was Terry, it's like Terry is going to get voted out because he's the one winner right away. Like it's Terry. So that isn't even meant to be really an insult. Like. Whatever, but I'm fine with. I didn't push Steve that hard on it either, knowing that he was super busy. Like he said, I wanted people who really could commit to it, and also like I was pretty desperate for crew, and I was fine with Steve being on there early, he had to kind of leave. And it was so lucky that Anders came in kind of right as Steve was exiting.
Yeah, I think like I met him at my last one, and it was like, all right, you got it from here, cool.
Yeah, seriously. All right, well let's go into. I have a couple of rapid fire questions, real quick.
Awesome. I was gonna say though, I was putting on the comments, man. Season 20, you got to bring back all the previous winners for a final for a winners season of All Stars.
Oh yeah.
Next year's reunion thing that we'll do it, and
We're already at season 11.
So I would love to join that, but you first four winners, we can get Sunday in there now. Like this is going to be a lot of fun.
Let's do it because I gotta
cross franchise winners too. Adam was there. Get him. We can get the winner of season 1 of Survivor Time and Change. I won't spoil it, but whatever. We can make it happen. All right. So I want to get to some rapid fire questions real quick before we get into the awards, because people were asking about a couple things that I wanted to get to. So all you got to do is just give like a one sentence or whatever thought answer on what your feeling is on this. But just talking about the All-Star season. So I want to know, what was the single most surprising thing that you saw in the episodes that either you didn't know about or just that was just like the most surprising thing to you in general?
My favorite thing to hear in the episode, and I'm still not over it, is that they called themselves the Bottoms Alliance and the Tops Alliance. It is too good. I love it. It's not shocking, but it's just my heart. I love it.
Other than they call themselves the Top Alliance.
Okay, well, they definitely call themselves the Bottom Alliance, so
I would say
certainly yes.
I would say for me, I mean, I don't know if it was like shocking, but like all of Holly. Like I'm here for all of Holly. Like I knew her and like was always close to her, but like I didn't know she was like queen of what was gonna happen on a lot of her one-liners and conversations that she had. Like I was just like getting hype about a lot of things, Holly.
Yep. Katie?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, definitely. I would say just a lot of people shocked me. I didn't know everyone was that amazing of a player. Like I had heard and I'd seen some things from past seasons, but it was like wow. And to see like everybody trying to go at each other at the same time, it was just so crazy. And I felt like a lot of things it was really hard for any one person to be like in control like all the time because everything was changing so much. But I would say for me at least, I was the most shocked at Shubal because he's fucking crazy and just went wild. And he kind of also like made things a lot harder for him and that Sabrina like giving her the fake idol and all that stuff. But I love that he played like balls to the wall and just went for it and had a great time and went out with a bang.
Yep.
I want to change my answer. The most shocking thing actually was Shubal has told me so many times before I saw it, like how funny the Michelle vote was. And I thought he was just like hyping it up because it's something really funny. But just watching it happen and knowing that she didn't really say this to him and that he gaslighted her, I was laughing the entire time.
Well,
and Feluke was fighting so hard too. It was great. That was my favorite episode.
Who would you have wanted to partner with for the partner twist, and who would you have not wanted to be with?
Like life partners?
I mean, sure.
No, I'm kidding.
But for the partner twist specifically.
Do they have to be someone of the opposite gender? Are we going into the same role?
That's how the partner twist works. Sorry.
Sorry, I asked the question.
So heteronormative, me.
Honestly.
I mean, I think for good television, it would have been great if I was partners with Siona. But I also think like it could have worked, right? I mean, you kind of saw the partner twist and how it worked this season. Like it's not going to always be the people who you think are going to be natural partners. I think the beauty of the partner twist is that it gives a chance for people who wouldn't naturally be partners to link up and have a reason to work together. Just to blur the lines of alliances, that one step further to always have the air of, do these people really trust this alliance, or are they just going to, at what point are they flipping back to the partner twist? But no, I think I would have loved to have Siona as a partner and force us to have a little bit more on-screen time.
That would be fun.
I think for me, I'd probably say Chris T, Evan, or maybe Shubal, because I think I would want to be, for one, I'd want to be with somebody that wasn't on my season because that gives like another connection right away off the bat. And I think Shubal, for one, like I said, is such a sneaky player. So I think if you're his partner, he would probably be a little more honest with you at least. And then Evan, we kind of were on different sides to start off, but I think if we were partners, things could have changed up a bit.
Did either of you say who you don't want to be with?
I probably wouldn't want to be with like Brandon or or maybe not Chris LeCompte, just because I know he already had like such a big target on his back, and I like if I was actually trying to win the partner twist, I wouldn't feel so confident we would get it.
Steve, who was your?
I probably would just say maybe Rebecca, just so my partner, could have been there past the first tribal, but
Yikes.
No, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I could have worked with anyone, but yeah, I feel like probably getting Nicole would have been not the best for my game, just given how our season ended up with the two of us right there. I don't think that would have worked out very well for us.
Well, I never played. So I don't have like prior relationships with anyone, but I would probably pick working with Shannon just because I think Steve is right when he's like, you'd want it to be someone that you're not already super close to just so it can really shake up the dynamics. And I think that Shannon would be someone that I don't think I would naturally be attracted to in the game. I think that she's very confident. She's very powerful as a player. But I think if we were forced to work together, it would be really cool. I think that she's super social and she would have connections that I wouldn't have. And I think that we'd work well together.
And you two are just both so powerful.
We're just so powerful. But I would 100% never want to be a partner with Holly. The way that she and Chris fight, like they can do that because they're Chris, LeCompte, and Holly. But if Holly and I were in a partnership and she was trying to order me around, like I can only see us like getting in fights or just not talking to each other. I can see it just not working out well. And I think she'd probably get me out. Like she's pretty good at doing that, just getting people out, being in control, managing to survive. So I really don't. I love Holly, but I just cannot work with her.
Well, she's definitely not fighting with you in the chat right now. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
If you got to choose somebody not in the final 5 to win the game, who would you choose?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like it would have been good for my good friend the comp to win.
Yeah, that's a safe answer there.
It's a safe answer just because I know he's in the chat. So I feel like I'll hear from him later if I don't say that.
Oh man.
But no,
Recap management right here. Damn, Steve. Killing the game.
No, but it would have been good. I think given how much he's put into the game, to kind of see it all come together, it would have been really good for him. Other people, like I just would have really liked to see like Ryan and Siona like just get farther. Like I think those are like some really strong players that just got out really early. So in terms of saying they could win when they got out where they did is kind of like doesn't really make any sense. But with All-Stars, you're always going to vote out power players and stuff like that from the get-go, as we saw. But Ryan and Siona could have been great characters in this game had they kind of maneuvered their way differently at the beginning. So it would have been really interesting to see how they kind of navigated some of the different things and the different people.
Cool.
I guess if I had to pick one person not in the final 5 to win, I would want it to be Micah. I think that's the one way that the season doesn't completely shift around. Like I was thinking, Rebecca would be a great story, but then, if she doesn't go out 4th or whatever, then the entire season changes. Who knows what happens? But Micah staying around until the final 5 isn't that hard to think about because he had an idol. So he would have been in the final 6 and he could have done something. So I think Micah winning is a realistic scenario, and it also makes me feel like the season would still be great. He would just have a different ending, and I'd be totally satisfied with that. Not that I'm not satisfied with anything. I just think that Micah winning would also be cute. It would be great.
Yeah, I was really upset when Micah got, bamboozled like that. It made me so mad. Even though, like, I didn't even work with him in my season, but I was just like, damn, that really sucks.
If anybody hasn't seen Micah's tweet,
what?
Sorry, I was gonna say if anybody hasn't seen Micah's tweet for today, please go look at it. It's important.
I've not seen it, but I'll go look after. But yeah, I was just like, damn, because I feel like while it did look silly, like when you're watching, like why did he just go and like tell Victoria? Why did he go tell Chris and everybody else? I feel like at that point in the game, everybody was kind of going crazy, and I think he was just really looking for somebody to latch onto that he felt like he could trust in the moment. And I don't know. I think it's a lot. Hindsight's 2020. It's a lot easier to say that as a viewer, but in the moment, you're like, okay, like this is a good idea. Like you're like you want to trust somebody, which is like what I did in this weekend reunion when I shared my idol clue with Sunday, and then she backstabbed me with that idol, butted me out. But it's fine.
Yeah, you don't seem bitter. You're good.
No bitterness whatsoever.
I want her to win, so it's but. Yeah, I think I would have liked to see Micah go to the end too, at least have a chance. Because I mean, both times in season 4 too, I felt like he was kind of like that lone wolf that was left and just tried with a fighting chance, but didn't really work out. Yeah.
Okay, so you all went on that one, and the we don't need to do that one. I think we covered those questions. Yeah. Are you guys ready to get into the awards? Feel like it's a good time for that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do it. Okay. All right. I know these are highly anticipated. The award show of the year. They say that award shows are dying, but we're bringing them back here.
But honey, we are living for this.
Yeah, we're doing that. Look at that, striking the fear in your players, like with those kind of comments. Definitely can do that one right there.
Funny joke.
Let's. I will say, Anders, you are in the front runner for best sound. I still want to go back to that. I need to go clip out that sound that you made earlier. And
it will be used in the finale. That's their only goal, Austin.
Yeah, I got to figure out a way to use it, but for real. All right. Well, it seems very excited in the chat. Everybody's ready to go. So let's get into it. I arranged the awards in not the exact order they were on the poll, and we'll get into how I kind of put this together for each poll. But what we're going to do is I'm going to name a category. I'm going to have you guys predict who you think will win, or like who you want to win. Honestly, you don't need to predict it. Who you want to win. If you have thoughts on who you think will win it or what you think will win it, then that's fine. But I'm interested in your takes and what the best player, best moment, whatever is. So let's start off with one of our categories, and it is the I saved the fan favorite award for the finale and for the ending of that, and we'll get to that then. But the pre-merge fan favorite, we're gonna start off with that one. The hashtag Gone Too Soon award. So what would you guys say? Who's your pick for pre-merge fan favorite?
I'd probably say Sabrina because she was iconic, and I think a lot of people were really sad when she was gone. I mean, there's so many good people. It's so hard to say, but I think she changed up her game. I think she proved a lot of people wrong coming into this season. That, I think some people were confused a little bit why she was even chosen to come back, but I think she played a great game, and I wish she could have made it farther. I think a lot of people felt
that. You can go, Steve.
I would say, I would agree with that. I'd throw a secondary vote at Siona's way, just because I think people have stanned her a lot, and would have liked to see her get a little bit farther. But I think Sabrina had a really good arc in this story. I know the Twitterverse was very sad when she left, so I think it's well deserved as well if she does get it.
So I will say that I forgot to mention at the top that there were over 700 votes in the poll.
That's crazy.
A lot.
That's crazy.
Not every category had votes by every participant in the poll, so don't do the math on the percentages or anything. Don't overthink it. But there were really a lot of votes, so a nice sample size of people's thoughts in the season.
Wow.
And did you have sorry, I cut you off. Did you have a thought on a different thought from this?
Yes, I think Sabrina's one answer, but what about Alex Pascal? He comes from being one of the biggest characters of Guts and Glory. This crazy parkour, taking his clothes off on the pole guy, gets to Final Four, gets cut. Everyone's like, oh, he's coming back. He's going to dominate. Literally the first one out. I mean, like, what happened? How did it happen? We'll never know.
Really gone.
Look, there could only be one Alex in the season.
I know. And why did it have to be? I mean, why? Was there really even one Alex in the season?
All right. Are we ready to hear the winner?
Let's do it.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's go. I will say everybody in this category that was eligible got votes, at least one vote. Not everybody with an equal share, but there were certainly votes for everybody. The sixth place person, and I guess there were 9 people eligible. Sixth place went to Brandon with the 2.2% of the votes, so a nice bounce back for Brandon. Right. Fifth place, Queen Michelle with 3.4. And I think Michelle had a nice run in the pre-merge, had a lot of popularity, so this was a positive thing for Michelle. Fourth place, we had the game changer herself, Nicole Senti, with 6.1% of the vote. And in third place, Ryan Kaiser from this weekend's event might have to get out his shirt. It's Siona of the vote. So Siona in third place, which leaves us with 2, and it's the two of the ones we mentioned, Sabrina and Alex Pascal.
Woo!
Now, I will say this was the biggest blowout of any category of the entire awards ceremony. So the winner of the pre-merge fan favorite is.
I don't know if we can hear that.
Try.
With 471 votes, 70.2%.
Oh my gosh.
Sabrina is the pre-merge fan favorite. Yes, this was her award from the start. Crushed it.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of votes for Sabrina. Alex Pascal with a healthy 8.2%, even after going.
Oh my god!
But
dominating performance.
Here's an interesting question: if you would put it as pre-jury, how much of the vote would Fluke have gotten?
That was actually something I was
Yeah.
going to say. I don't know, and I partially wish that would have happened. Although I'm
Yeah,
fine
I
to see
was like, wait,
Sabrina
what
get
about
the love.
Felipe?
But yeah, I think if we're being like, if just for me, if I had to choose, like Sabrina would still win it because I think that she had such an impact on the season and such a big thing. But
Mhm.
Fluke has a lot of fans, and people might just give their vote to Fluke on that just out of principle. So that would have been definitely a more interesting poll, but that's okay. Fluke has gotten plenty of love, and Sabrina here with a big dominating win. So even if she did not win the season, she won over our hearts.
And that's what matters.
Right. Let's move on to one that was definitely closer, and this one is the best strategic player category, or for those of you who were there this weekend, the best strategist. It's a in joke for you guys. What are your thoughts? Best strategic player. I think there's definitely some options here.
Chris Thomas is going to yell at me if I don't say it's him, but I mean, like, I think I'd have to say the best strategist would be, like, in my mind, Schubel. I mean, he was able to pull off some incredible moves. Not only was he able to get Michelle out, but he saved Sabrina for a round. He was able to create an alliance of outsiders. And really the only thing that stopped him was the rock draw. And that wasn't something he could control. It could have been anyone. It just happened to be him. So I think strategically he didn't fail. There were some times he went a little bit too far, but like his downfall was not strategy.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that Schubel would be a well-deserving winner of this. Yeah, kind of like you said, he didn't really make a fatal mistake. He just lost in an unfortunate rock draw, of which he had the numbers on it anyways. So, yeah, I think watching him play, having never seen him play in season one, and him coming in, I mean, it's very interesting because everyone else came in having watched previous people's seasons, so they know at least a little bit of how they play. All you've heard about Schubel was kind of like rumors, and he had been kind of put on this pedestal of this idol hunting, challenge winning god in his season, but there was no video to like prove it. And then for him to come in and kind of almost live up to that legendary status, and then only go out through, and then only go out through rocks. He didn't really shy away from it, even though sometimes he said he was gonna. But I think absolutely Schubel would be a very deserving winner of this.
And if we're considering closer to endgame, I would say also Victoria is probably second there. And I mean, I don't know. It's Schubel just did so much, but Victoria's whole play towards the end, I think, voting out Micah after he told her to seemed kind of that was really good and just crazy. I was like, wow, Victoria, damn.
All right. Was great. Well, I think the chat seems pretty split on it. Pan flute guy getting a mention in there. Really good strategic positioning right in the middle of campus.
I will say too. I don't know. I don't know at what point if I'll get to talk about it or if here is a good time to do it. But there's an honorable mention for Chris Thomas playing human telephone between the two light posts or whatever. That was just absolutely
that was crazy.
It was an absolute amazing TV, amazing to watch. And just watching him just like laugh as he was running back and forth, just like kind of getting half frustrated, but like kind of enjoying it too much. Was just
that was some stupid dedication too.
But like he was just like this like grin on his face as he was just like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done in my life. I don't know where that would fall in this whole podcast or this whole recap or whatever, but I don't know if you want to call it strategy, but I just wanted to bring that up as an honorable mention because that was like a top 5 moment of the season for me.
Definitely. I mean, he had homework to do, and he was out there in the freezing cold doing that. Like, I don't know that I would do that, but hopefully that pans out for him.
It's true.
So, all right. In this category, not every person in the cast got a vote, but I will say Nicole Senti got 1 vote. I was a little bit taken aback by that.
Maybe it was Chris Thomas.
Probably. So in 6th place, with 1.2% of the vote, but getting on the board is our someone who in Outback would have won this by a mile. It is Chris LeCompte, 6th place in this season.
I think that
He is-
says a lot about Maryland All-Stars right there.
Mhm,
and
I blinked for a
definitely.
second and thought you were saying the winner. And I'm like, what? Okay, go on.
All right, fifth place. We have this is a big rise for I think Shannon with 2.2% of the vote getting in there.
Wow.
Deserved too.
Solid for Shannon. In fourth place with 5.8%, we have Chris Thomas and his poll antics. There you go.
I love it.
In third place, we didn't mention this person, but I think they are definitely a worthy member of this category, especially with how much they've done this season. It's Holly with 10.7% of the vote.
Yeah.
A lot of strategic stuff from Holly this season. And that leaves us with our top two. And this was a pretty close one. A lot of votes for each of them. The first place person had 294 votes. Second place had 222 votes. So for those of you who are not good at math like me, that's 43% and 32%. And actually the winner kind of made a really big push late for a lot of the voting. It was like dead even. So a pretty big push late for them. But it's the top two are two people that you guys mentioned, Victoria and Schubel. So here we go. The winner of the best strategic player is Jordan Schubel.
Yeah.
Jordan Schubel wins the poll. And honestly, you could probably name this category if the way people end up voting with it, most strategic player. Certainly he wins that one. By a lot. I think Victoria, there's definitely a case to be made just in terms of how many good strategic plays she made in the post merge. But Schubel, so committed to the strategy from the first second, and really did
for sure.
use strategy as kind of like long-term thinking and setting up the course of the game. I mean, even for Victoria and Chris Thomas and their road for strategy, like I think Schubel set a lot of that up and really did create a lot of the groundwork for the post merge to happen. So I think that's a fair winner. A lot of people saying Victoria robbed, but it's a strong second place for Victoria as somebody who was on the outs for a lot of the season, and the people were saying we're down and out. So that's a really good push for her. Yeah.
For sure.
Exactly.
And Schubel had that shirt, so that helped.
It's a good strategy. That's
He strategically ordered it. He knew.
He did. He strategically wore it at the same night.
More of a tactical move. Very quick thinking. All right, let's get into our next one, and that is the best hero of the season. I don't know, best hero was, I was trying to figure out how to phrase it. Best hero, the hero, greatest hero, favorite hero, whatever it is. What do you guys think for this one?
You got to give that one to Chris Thomas, I think, because
Yeah.
he was on the outs for the longest time. He's like always just that lone wolf, and then here he is in a power position over here, which I think is amazing. He made such a really huge turnaround, and I think he definitely has a huge underdog story.
I disagree with you guys. I'm not saying that Chris Thomas isn't a hero, but like, when I look at
huge shit.
but like when I look at the final five, I can't look at any of them and think none of them weren't villainous. Like Chris Thomas for this whole game, for like half of the game was like, let's get out Chris Lecomte, and everyone who wasn't on board, he was very like, you suck, you're soft, whatever. Victoria is like, her reputation is that of a villain. Even when she's the underdog, even whatever, she is the villainess. Holly, Ashley, Eric, they've been in the majority. There's been a lot of negative stuff around them. I think if I had to pick someone who's a hero in the merge, or it's someone that really comes to mind, it would be Micah. I think Micah, overall, he's, when I think of hero, I think of someone who isn't malicious or isn't overly aggressive. Like he's trying to do what's best for him without necessarily tearing others down. And I think his story is that of like a hero who loses in the end. Like even him misplaying the idol, it's still kind of heroic in the fact that like it went down with him. It was his own fault. So I think he was just too honest at that point. I think he is the biggest hero. Chris might be the biggest anti-hero though.
I don't know. I feel like Chris Thomas, whether he wanted to be or not, like his arc is just crazy because he spent the first couple episodes like coming in, everyone was like, Chris T, he's like so mean and a jerk, and like his own partner didn't even tell him that they were partners because like of the reputation that he came in with. And then like he got put in this spot where he almost was like forced to be a hero because being a villain was just like clearly not going to work for him. But he could never like truly get away with it. Like when they won the partner twist, like he was just like the worst at that tribal council. Like it kind of worked out for him because like then like I don't know, it's kind of interesting like how the editing all worked, because that probably pissed so many people off in the game, but like as fans we all were like, yeah, we like Chris Thomas a lot more now. Like his whole arc is like we start liking him more and more. But like the players in the game came in with such like preconceived notions about Chris Thomas. So I think would be perceived very differently if you kind of took a poll of the people who played All-Stars versus the fans on where they would put Chris Thomas as whether a hero or not hero. But I think the fans think that he's a hero, and I think he's going to win this one.
It is definitely a good point. That I remember talking to, I think it was to Mike. I think he might even talk about it on the recap, but he was like, in the game, I'm like, our alliance, we're the heroes, and all of a sudden, all these fans are rooting for the bottom alliance, and somebody else might have been like, I think I was rooting for them too. Like,
yeah, no, it's crazy.
All right, well, let's get to the results of this one. In fifth place, there was a lot of like bunching up at the down towards this area, so I put all three of them kind of together. Fifth place is a tie-ish. Schubel, Micah, and Evan all right around 3% of the votes. So I'm sorry, Anders.
Hero.
Micah, yeah, the Schubel votes are ridiculous. Whoever did that. But your Micah getting stuck there down in the 3% range. So
that's fine. This is a hill I'll die on.
So in fourth place, and getting this far when you go up pre-merge is tough. It is Sabrina with 6.5% of the vote. So Sabrina gets into the top 4 here in best hero. Third place with 10.8% of the vote is Victoria.
As a hero?
I could see that.
Look, underdogs getting up there, bottom alliance.
Yeah, I think she's same way as like the players would think much differently about that, just because she could never shake that preconceived notion, but the fans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all saw what happened to Micah.
That's also true. I have no rebuttal.
In the number, I'm not. I'm gonna give the top 2, and the top 2 is between one person we talked about, one person we didn't. Chris Thomas is one of the top 2.
Shannon.
The other one is Shannon.
Oh, true.
The vote here was not super close. It was 55.7% to 11.6%. 376 votes for the winner. Did you just play the drum roll sound?
Yeah.
Wow, it was way better. I could hear it.
I couldn't.
God.
The winner is Chris Thomas. He did it. The best hero category. And interesting debate on that front, but I think this is the way it was always going to go. And, especially cemented by the fact that I happened to do this random fake heroes versus villains thing, and he literally put himself in it as a hero, which is just so incredible in hindsight.
It's great.
Yeah.
And the kind of thing that it's funny in the moment, and then you get there later on, and it's like, oh my god, this is even better. And that's
I totally forgot about that.
All these moments like that. So he called it. He called his shot, and here he is, the best hero.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So there we are.
Because he got so many people in the game at that when he put himself in that heroes tribe or whatever. Everyone was like, "What the hell is he doing over there?" Like he knows he's not. Like he's such an idiot. Stop being so cocky or whatever. And then here he is, vindicated or whatever.
Yes, vindicated. Anders wrong. Chris Thomas is gonna rub it in your face.
Look, he would do it anyway. Like, that's his style. Yeah, it's what a hero would do, right?
Hey, that's the thing about Survivor. Sometimes the people, it's different than real life. Like, I mean, the thing about Chris Thomas is he was, people in these shows always root for whoever's, not always, but a lot of times for people who are the underdogs. I think Chris and Steve were actually some of the ones who defied that a little bit, in that they were underdogs in the game sense, but they were definitely, especially Chris, villains in the watching, and I think that was really unique. But usually, someone who's on the bottom and then back on the bottom and then on the bottom even more, gets that kind of support, and that's where we are here. All right, let's move on to best villain. And this was another category that was pretty close. So this could be a fun one. Oh, and also with 11.6%, I didn't mention Shannon in Best Hero, but a solid finish for Shannon on that one, and someone who was super popular and people are excited about, and hasn't factored in the last few crazy episodes, but a good run for her. Okay, Best Villain. Thoughts on this one from you guys?
I feel like everyone had a little bit of villain in them. Going through the best one, man, that's a tough call. I feel like I want to give Holly a shout out on this one. She's had just some incredible moments, especially when she told Chris that he can do what he wants with his friends. So I feel like that was just a defining moment for a potentially defining villain. So I'm gonna stick with that one.
I feel like it's either Shubo or LeCompte on this one. Like Shubo was I don't know, he was like bigger, I guess. I mean, he was in there a little longer than LeCompte, but still, he was just so big, at least from the edit. And then LeCompte already kind of came in with such a villainous play based on his past season. So I'm gonna go with LeCompte on this one.
It's hard. I want to say Victoria, but I feel like with so many people thinking she's a hero, they don't put her as villain. I'm going to go with LeCompte too. I think if we're framing this as Chris Thomas is a hero, then it has to be LeCompte as the villain. Like the first half of the season, you cannot go a scene with Chris Thomas without it being, all right, so vote out LeCompte. And I think LeCompte really cemented it himself by just always being in control, always having to talk, him and Holly fighting constantly about these things. And it was never framed as he was right or wrong. It's just, it was always his way or no way. So I would have to agree with Katie here. Sorry, Steve. Your friend's a villain.
That's all right. He deserved it if he wins. I think it's interesting though that he came in too with that villainous play hard, but then could never shake it, I feel like. Whereas Chris Thomas was able to shake it in a way. So very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, in 5th place, we have our first appearance. First appearance mentioned in the awards so far. It is Ashley Roach, 4.3% of the votes. Ashley getting on there, rising up in the villains category. So there we go on that. And she did put herself on the villains in the racial thing too. So she's owned it. In 4th place, with 8.2% of the vote, we have Holly. Holly, as mentioned, with the some aggressive words for sure, some fiery stuff. But I think probably something that's keeping her from winning this one would be kind of that. I think for some people she's floated between being, I don't know about hero, but it's been more neutral for her. She's been between sides, and I think that keeps her from being like the super villain that would win this. In 3rd place, and this one was a little bit of a LOL to me. 11.6% of the vote. It's Chris Thomas.
That's impressive.
That's ironic.
Get that many in both categories. That's actually incredible.
So,
Yeah.
Chris Thomas with 11% of the votes in Best Villain, also after crushing in Best Hero. So
Wow.
don't know what to make of that.
Austin, you gotta get the
What?
stats on how many people voted him for both hero and villain.
Sorry, I missed that. What?
You got to get the stats on how many people voted him for both hero and villain.
Oh, I honestly could figure that out if I really wanted to go into the Excel.
Well, as long as it's not going to affect the release date of the finale. All right?
Well, that's why I'm probably not going to do it anytime soon. I already spent like 2 hours combing through the free form responses tonight.
Yeah, no, that is not the move.
And just spent 32 hours not editing as we played a game of Survivor. So anyway, so Chris Thomas in 3rd place. That was fun. That leaves us with the top 2 that we talked about. It was meant to be here. The top 2 is between Schubel and LeCompte. 1st place has 230 votes. 2nd place, 204 votes. So definitely close. 34% to 30%. So a close finish. And Katie, whenever you're ready to cue me in, you can do it.
All right, ready?
That affects Katie.
Winner is his 2nd win of the night, Jordan Schubel.
Wow.
Villain
That
award.
made me come in, but I thought they would.
He edges out Lecomte, beats him once again. Just
by one.
Got to be a shot to the pride, that's for sure.
It seems to be that Schubel beats Lecomte by one. That's the trend that we're having in All Stars. Schubel wins. I think either one was a fair vote. Although, one thing that was surprising to me as the season went on was I actually thought more people would hate Schubel. Like I thought he'd have a lot less support than he did. And because he was so villainous, like I was like, oh man, like is this gonna be too much, or people just totally hate him? But I think people enjoyed it, and he brought a lot. So a villain, but I think a fun villain for the season.
Yeah, he was who he was.
Right, Nikki Schubel. All right, let's go to the biggest surprise player, and I wrote in a positive way. The thing I meant was like someone who exceeded your expectations. And I think that's probably I think people read that correctly. I hope that wasn't super confusing for anybody. Canvas with the comment of Chris L really tried to not be a villain, but well, he ripped off his shirt. So the shirt at least felt like he was a villain. But biggest surprise player, and you could take this a number of ways, obviously. But what would you guys say for the biggest surprise player who surprised you in a positive way from this season?
I'm assuming Feluke doesn't count.
She was on the thing.
Well, I think she was a surprise in the fact that she was there. But no, I think biggest surprise player. That I think the obvious answer is probably going to be Ashley. But I think it would be a deserved one. Kind of like I was mentioning earlier, like she's been playing, and I think the fans can see some of that more than the players probably did at the time watching it back. So I think she'll be high up in this one.
I actually think it's going to be Shannon because I think, like I said earlier, I think she was central. She was central to a lot of alliances. She was working with literally everyone. I think everyone was shocked that she was so fluid compared to season 4. So I definitely think that she's going to knock this one out the ballpark.
I would want to say Sabrina or Ashley. I think those seem like the pretty obvious answers, but I'm going to go with Chris Thomas. I think that going into the season, no one expected him to be so. I know it's like, how are we forgetting him?
So many of them. Yeah, I know. I forgot.
It's like all you remember from him from Outback is like he wore a black shirt. He was like against his tribe because they voted out Josh, I think was his name, not Phil. He was this angry guy, and then he comes back. The first couple episodes, he's like just going after the comp. Nothing's going his way. He's drunk all the time, and here he is, final 5. So many fans. Like the turnaround is incredible. I think if we're talking about the biggest surprise in a positive way, it's 100% got to be Chris Thomas.
The hero.
A lot of options.
Yeah, might be a toss-up.
I will say right off the bat that I also thought about Fluke being an interesting vote for this because, yeah, she was literally a surprise for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
But, I think people did read in the meaning of the question that I was going for, and were focused more on who kind of they weren't as high on or didn't expect that much from, who did really well. And Fluke, obviously people had high expectations whenever she would come in, and it's not like she did as well as some people wanted her to in the game, so didn't win in that way. So she was not in the top 5. Did get some votes, but not in the top 5. Shannon was also not, and I think maybe that's because people came in with a high opinion of Shannon, and I think a lot of people their opinion of her grew, but maybe they weren't as shocked as with others that are in our top 5. So going to this biggest surprise player category, in 5th place we have an exact tie for 5th place, and it is very fitting that these two are tied. We're actually, to decide the tie for 5th place, we're going to have them do the poll challenge for a few hours. It is at 5%, Holly and Victoria.
Wow.
So I think Holly, definitely, you can see that not a huge character in Terrapin Trials. The fact that Victoria is even on this list is pretty stunning because she's someone who came in with a huge reputation. But but I think maybe people expected that a lot of people expected that she'd be out early, and figure that she exceeded those expectations. So I guess that's how she made it on here with 5%. In 4th place, with this is a little bit more of an even category. So 12th, just about 13% of the vote in 4th place. So pretty solid. We have Sabrina. Sabrina, they paused a surprise. And again, Sabrina as a pre-merger is making her way into these categories.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So it's a good night for her.
She had. I guess I'd say the bar wasn't set very high. So the fact that she made it such a big name for herself and some of the moves that she was able to make, that doesn't surprise me that she's on there and she's making some of these lists. I mean, you can't forget the snow challenge. So I think she's gotten enough action now that people are starting to slowly forget the snow challenge.
Yeah, they're not remembering Dildo Gate as her big move.
Oh gosh.
They were saying about Sabrina that she went from Dildo Gate to Dildo Great.
Oh my gosh.
And Andrew said I wasn't funny. Whatever. In third place, and this is a little bit of a different take on the category too, but an interesting one. We have Jordan Schubel with 13.6% of the vote. I have to remember nobody had seen him, and I remember when I was going through the cast and people were like, "Yeah, so many big names, so exciting." And then there's also the season 1 guy, whatever. People were not ready for the fact that one of the most dominant characters of the season was from that season 1. Nothingness. So a big surprise, people, and someone that I think brought a lot to the season that people weren't ready for that. So that means our top 2, and both of these people were mentioned. It's Ashley and Chris Thomas.
Wait, can I say something about this?
Yeah.
When you did the draft with like Adam and Hillary and it was Dom and Colin.
Yeah.
These 2 were the last 2 picked. So I think
certainly that makes sense then for biggest surprise. That makes a lot of sense. Also, if anyone hasn't looked, Adam's team was maybe the worst team of all time. So, like, it would have been hard for him to pick a worse fantasy team. His last person in with 5 people, he had 5 people on his team. His last person in was Senti.
Oh.
So rough for everyone.
Not good.
Right, well, between those 2, it wasn't super close. The winner had 37.1% of the vote. Second place had 15.7%, but certainly a good performance for both of these people. But ultimately, the winner is Katie. Chris Thomas riding that underdog moment.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Biggest hero, biggest villain. Who
I
is?
can't figure out what people actually think about Chris. Where he's getting these moves.
But let's give definitely a big second place victory for Ashley, who is impressed a lot of people and shown a lot this season that she's here at number 2. And certainly I don't think Siona gave her vote. That could have weighed her down a little bit, but some others did. So that's okay. So Chris Thomas with 2 wins, Schubel with 2 wins. They've got 2 big trophies coming their way. Yeah, whatever that award is. But let's go on to the next category, and it is best duo. Oh, also it is 11 p.m. I gotta speed this up.
Yes.
Oh, we're gonna be done. Okay. Best duo. Here we go. Really quick predictions from you guys for best duo.
Chris Victoria.
Oh yeah.
I'm going Shubrina. Shubrina was like legendary status when that was occurring.
Mhm. Dang, that was so hard. I think either of those 2 top 2 for sure, but I'm gonna go Chris and pick.
Okay. All right. 6th place. Got a 6th place on this one. It's 1.2% of the vote, but still on there. A really fun duo, I think, is the partner twist duo of Holly and LeCompte. So much backstory there. So much tension. So much drama. Great stuff. Number 5, we have a showmance, and it is not Eric and Ashley. It is Chris Thomas and Shannon. 2% of the vote got on there. 4th place. So this person 2-timing a little bit in this poll. It's Shannon and Schubel with 2.8% of the vote. Really fun duo. They came together for just a few episodes, but a really fun few episodes for sure.
Yeah.
In 3rd place with 6.7%, so a jump there. We have the renowned duo of Mike Evan and Micah.
Oh.
So good duo.
You know, everybody knows Mike and Evan. They just see the mention in the chat. They get 3rd place. You know, not people who have really won the night, but still seeing them here, I think, is a good moment for them to get on there. And that leaves the top 2 that you guys mentioned: Christoria, Shubrina, fun 2. This vote was also not close. This, I think, might have been our 2nd biggest blowout. 424 votes for the winner, 145 for 2nd place. So 63.6% and 21.7%. So it's a big 2nd place vote. These people dominated the two votes, but 1st place with a big one. And the winner is, drumroll, for Katie? It's Christoria.
Yeah.
Had to be. What a story. What a story
right?
it was.
The underdogs.
Sabrina is so much fun. I mean, brought so much life to the first half of the season, and shine so bright that they're here in second place. But Christoria has really defined the season from the beginning up till the now, and their duo going from hitting each other to winning the partner twist and getting here. So pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's an awesome arc. I just remember her face when she pulled his name out of the bag in the first episode, and like how far they've come since then. It really has been kind of the defining theme up to this point. The other thing I would say, it's really interesting that we didn't talk about and didn't really get much votes, but Holly and Ashley. I mean, a clear duo the whole time, and still in the game. But it just interesting how that works out, and that's probably potentially worked to their favor that they haven't been this huge targeted duo.
I agree. I think that was a big snub, and they were on the poll. But I guess people are just rooting. It's hard for them to vote for that when they're rooting for Christoria more. But I think Ashley and Holly have been a huge power duo. I really enjoy them as a duo. And, yeah.
Honestly, Bucket and Ashley face robbed.
Robbed. Definitely robbed. All right. And we're going to get into the free form categories, which I don't have quite the same level of stats and exactness, but I tried to parse through these as much as I could. But the problem is that not everybody wrote things the same way. So, like, if they wrote, like, that moment with Steve and Katie, or then somebody else said Steve and Katie, or somebody else said Steve and that girl. Like, I mean, it just, like, if everybody wrote, I had to try to piece those together, so it was tough. But we're gonna I pulled together the best, and it's just gonna be kind of a nice reminder. And I have at least a first place for each one, and I tried to find counts. There weren't as many votes for the freeform ones, ranging between about 200, 250 for those. I know those take a lot of thought and actual writing with words, so that's tough. Other than clicking a button, but a lot of fun ones mentioned. So let's start with best scene or moment, and a few great ones in this. You guys have a pick for best scene or moment?
I mean, I kind of already talked about it, but I was absolutely loving when Chris Thomas was playing telephone between the poles. Just 'cause I thought it was just like, it just embodied his whole arc. Like, I think even in his mind, he was just like, what the actual hell am I doing right now, running between these two poles? How am I here? And like, these people are saying the same stupid things, but they don't believe me. This is just so frustrating, but that was amazing. There's too many to count. I'm interested to see what you guys think.
Damn, this one's so hard, but one, I want to say it was so funny when we saw Chris L rip his shirt off at the end of the second challenge, and that came up in the reunion this weekend too. We're like, is he gonna rip his shirt off again? He was wearing a tank top. By the end of it, I swear this thing looked like one side of his tank top looked like it was literally just gonna fall off. He kept having to pick it up, and it was done. So I think that one for me. There
is a funniest moment category. I will also tell you that.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the first tribal I ever came to, which is the drunk tribal. I mean, the whole lead up to the vote is like, oh my god, is it gonna happen? Is Chris LeCompte gonna go? And then the results are just insane. It's one of the most wild tribal councils, and everyone's drunk. So Sabrina's slurring her words. Everyone's just sort of like shuffling around. They're not really sure. There's so much chaos, and it's just such a great payoff.
I think too, one scene that's a personal favorite of mine, but probably won't be mentioned, is it's like right from the jump in the first episode, kind of like how we were talking about Shubo earlier, and like how all we had heard was rumors about him, and how he always was searching for idols and was this big player. And we start off, and our first like scene of him is he's talking about how he's alone in this spot, and he feels like he's already lost, and he just is like, all right, well, I'm going to start looking for idols. And he starts just like turning up plants and like just going after it. And people are just like, this is the first time we're ever seeing this dude. And we're like, oh, so like this is really how he's going to play. Like that was like really cool to really set the scene. And he just never stopped from the first time he was on the camera.
Very true. All right. Well, that one didn't win, Steve. I will tell you that.
Honorable mention though.
I'm going to just dive into the winner here and then list some ones after that. There were three that rose to the top, really. a little controversial here because I'm not sure about the exact numbers of each one, but whatever. We think we are pretty close. I think I have the right number. So the best scene and moment. Drum roll, Katie.
Oh shit! I'm not prepared.
Come on, Katie.
Okay.
Oh, it got cut off.
Okay.
I will say close second place, very close, is Fluke's return.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
But the winner is Chris Thomas and Victoria win the partner twist.
Oh, true.
Another win for Chris Victoria so far.
Chris Victoria.
And they edged out Fluke's pretty profound moment.
That was a great moment.
For Chris Victoria. And yeah, and the moment where they get the partner twist, the necklace is playing, the music, it just tears.
Yeah,
Fluke returning is also just such an epic moment. I think people liked it both in the shock value of it, but also the power, like the emotion of Victoria's reaction and the interplay there. I mean, it's just hard to beat that as memorability.
Yeah, winning the
okay. I didn't know if you guys.
Them winning the partner was incredible. Just like thinking all the way back to when she first found out that he was his partner. It was that was a good moment.
Those are the top two. The third place, pretty clear third place, is the aforementioned do whatever you want with your friends car conversation with Chris and Holly. It's the best individual scene of two people. Like I love that scene. I mean, it's just so good. I think it's one of the most one of my favorite scenes of the entire show. It just the relationship between these two, mixed with the twist, with strategy, mixed with emotion and feelings. Just thought that was just such a cool conversation.
It's awesome,
and really rose kind of Chris LeCompte's entire dilemma for this game and two-season arc into the picture. That was really cool. Right after that, the Victoria Final 8 immunity win and the hug between Chris and Victoria, that was mentioned a lot. Shubal and Michelle was mentioned a lot. There were definitely some drunk tribal references, but I don't know if people went with whole tribals in this one. But they did mention the scene of the fighting after that tribal a lot. That was in there. And then a lot of Shubrina scenes mentioned. The fake idol had a bunch of votes, probably about 12 votes. The car scene with them, it's the 2-hour conversation. That was a big one. And then the last one was Micah not playing the idol. That got a few votes too. So big moment there. All right, let's move on. We got got some more to go. So let's jump into best single quote and really, really quick. Any predictions on that one?
I still want to go with Holly's quote. Fuck your friends.
Fuck your friends. Yeah.
I mean, just an epic quote.
Okay. That's drum roll.
All right, we're just gonna go in.
Okay. All right. The winner of that one, clear winner, is fuck your friends. Fuck your friends. Takes the win. Holly gets her first
iconic.
An epic quote. I mean, there's literally, you look at the voting category and it's people's individual responses. Fuck your friends. Fuck your friends. Fuck your friends. Fuck your friends. F your friends. Do stuff to your friends. I mean, it's just over and over and over again. Pretty great. Also, a number of votes too for the secondary quote after that of Holly saying, Chris being this is so hard, and Holly being I'm having a fucking great time. I had a lot of references. Holly, just what a scene for her, gagging at Chris LeCompte. I mean, it's fun stuff. The second place one, it was pretty jam packed. A lot of votes for a few of them. But Evan's floaters got to float, schemers got to scheme. Sorry, floater. Or when floaters start to scheme, sorry, floaters is the end of your dream. That got a lot of love too. Big quote there. And a fun little rhyme. And Adam Klein was very talking that up this weekend. Our country and our state also got a few there with the the third place one definitely was the Chris Thomas's "Live long enough to become the hero" quote. So that was the nice thematic thing there, and that was a big one. So CT on the board with third place finish here, but he's won plenty of stuff tonight, so doesn't need more. And Shubal's next with "Clog your toilet" quote when he played the idol. Good one. And then a number of Fluke quotes. I think Fluke split the votes on herself. Actually, this one probably was third. This one might have been actually second or third place, but I just grouped it down here. But Fluke's quote about Schubel whipping out his penis
Oh my gosh.
that got a lot of votes. That was, I think, the actual second place. It was between Evan and that with the float got float and the Schubel peeing. Those were the two of the top three. Also, Fluke quotes mentioned, "For those who don't love me, Jesus still loves you," as she said her exit interview or her exit quote. That was a big one. And the Illinois corn one, Circles of Excellence with Michelle. I saw a lot. And then the other two I saw mentioned a few times. Ashley had a bunch. The douchey frat survivors like dating a douchey frat boy quote. Got some in there. And Rebecca made an appearance. Definitely had some votes. I'm surprised people remember this, but it means it's a good quote. For after the memory challenge, when she's like, "I lost to a perpetually drunk kid in a memory challenge."
Oh my gosh.
She was just so shocked on that. So a nice little moment for Rebecca there to get on the board, and that's best quote. But Holly takes that category. Fluke with 2 second place finishes now, and Evan with the second or third place finish, depending on how it actually was. I don't know the exact math. All right, let's go into funniest moment. Any thoughts on this? Things jumping out at you?
For me personally, was that scene just recently where Alex G was so hype. I think at the end of the last tribal and was hugging Victoria. He was so excited, and Victoria was like, "Okay, can you get off me now?" And he finally gets off, and she looks at the camera with like the meanest glare, like, "I'm so done." It was so funny.
I agree. That is my favorite moment ever.
So fucking savage.
It's one of the better GIFs we've ever produced. That and the Crystal Comp's like neck craning. I didn't know best GIFs category would be a good one. Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Sorry.
Or another funny moment. This is just funny to me when Feluca comes back and Victoria literally just starts crying.
There's no soul.
It's just funny.
Okay.
Yes,
one. Sorry.
No, I mean, there's a lot of good ones. I think Feluca asking why Shubo has got his thing out is a good one. Also, someone put in the chat, and I remember laughing really hard at it. I mean, I was probably not going to win, but when Feluca said, "I didn't know Harry was back," and that was just
that was so good.
That was really, really. I laughed pretty hard.
All right, let's get a drum roll as we say the winner. Drum roll.
I don't have it up anymore. I'm sorry. My other laptop died. Yeah, that was good enough.
The winner of the funniest moment, and this was actually the biggest blowout of the freeform category, even more than F Your Friends, although that was pretty big too. The winner of the funniest moment, Schubel getting stuck in the closet for a long
yeah, that was pretty funny too.
As Shannon and Alex G had a conversation. That got about 60 or so freeform vote mentions, which is a lot.
Wow.
A lot of votes for that. Schubel with Shannon might get this win for making that happen. Schubel and Shannon share the award on this one. Alex G unwittingly shares the award, but didn't really know about it. Second place was the fake clue of the country in our state clue.
Oh my god,
that was a really, really funny one.
So bad.
The big third place for Schubel's Forever Immune T-shirt. Got a lot of votes, 15, 20 votes in there. Evan with 2 in the top 5 here. He gets a lot of votes for not knowing Shannon's military branch. The Victoria glare was definitely somewhere in the top 3 to 5. I didn't have the exact math on that, but it was definitely mentioned a fair amount in there. The post hug, awkward hug glare. Schubel peeing behind the dumpster got a mention. That was a good one. The comp shirt rip got about 6 or 7 votes. And a lot of another splitting the vote. Ashley got a lot of mentions. She had the stuff with Eric was mentioned. The bucket falling definitely got some mentions. The conversation with Chris Thomas where she's giving him advice and he's just kind of like getting advice from Ashley. So there's that. And also the little moment. I love little things like this. People remember when she's on like the phone with Holly or Chris, and all of a sudden the people and her roommates start being really loud, and she screams at them, and they get louder. That was a good one. Yeah. All right, and our last, one of our last freeform categories. There's 2, but one I actually have pretty good numbers on. Last one is best move.
I would say the Flesh getting Micah out with his idol in his pocket.
I think. Yeah, I mean that move was key. Should have listened to Eric.
Yeah.
In life and in all
Yeah,
moments.
just in general. I like the fake idol was good. I think that was a good move. Shannon voting out Chris was a big move.
Mm-hmm.
I think deserves some mention here. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it'd be pretty mixed unless I'm missing something like huge.
I have no idea.
Okay. Katie, you ready on this one?
Yes.
All right. The winner is.
Oh no, I'm not ready. I can't. My other laptop's dead right now. I have earphones in.
All right. Well, then I will just do it myself. I have to do everything myself these days.
I'm sorry.
The winner of this award for best move is the Micah blindside.
Yeah.
Huge move. I think top credit went to Victoria. Victoria, they could share that one. Victoria gets like 2/3 of the vote of the award at least. I think you can like split the Oscar that way. But certainly the clear winner of this category in terms of the votes, and I think that's deservedly so. It was a pretty huge strategic vote split, pulled off really effectively, and just like such a moment seeing all the reactions with it. One of the best moves I think that we've seen across season. Steve, do you think it tops the dog dying Senti Connor vote out thing?
It's pretty close. I'd say probably only because of the tweet that he tweeted today.
The tweet from today is pretty incredible. We needed a tweet
sad.
from Connor back in the day.
Yeah, like I don't know if Connor ever had Twitter for that.
I think Connor would have said like, "Wow, great move, guys."
But yeah, like Micah, especially just watching back and listening to what Eric said, it's bad. It's a great play though.
We'll have to have an ultimate cross seasons vote of best tribals, best moments. I did the best tribals one, but I'll have to update that with All Stars.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I ever revealed those results, so one day I will. You can think of the top few. I don't think it was shocking to anybody.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The second place, pretty clear top two, was the Sabrina fake idol, Sabrina Schubel fake idol play. Huge move there, getting out Senti, and pretty epic one at that. Very memorable. That got a lot of votes too. So Sabrina has been steady in so many awards tonight. Big night for her, and obviously Schubel's had a huge one too. Third place was the Lecomte vote, and some credit given to Shannon, but also the whole Bottom Lines in general. A lot of love for that one, and definitely shook up the season in a big way. So that was the third place by a lot, and then a lot after that. But the one I saw the most for fourth place was Holly and Ashley forcing Shannon out and forcing Eric to vote out his partner. Some people have debated whether that was good or not, but they are both still here, and I think that a lot of people do think that it ended up being a solid move to position themselves later on. So they got some love there. So solid category there. Last freeform category is best recap guest. So this is a fun one. I will say that pretty much every recap guest got at least one vote. Like I saw so many names in there. I'm not going to list every single name ever, but just know that if you were a recap guest, somebody liked you, or it was yourself. But a lot of people got at least 2 votes. That means there was somebody besides you that also liked you. But I will list a lot of them. People who got at least 3 votes. We had the great Rose Mullet. I think it's Mullet. Got 3 votes. Mel, the great Mel, got served, who made the very beautiful immunity idols and individuals for the reunion game this weekend. She had some votes. The great Ryan, great everybody. Ryan from he's great though, from Colorado. He had a few votes. 5 votes. We had Stephanie and her great questions. Stephanie Malcolm, 5 votes. We had Charles and his hot takes with 5 votes. Bailey got some love with 5 votes. And 6 votes. We had JS, and I think maybe people forgot about JS. I think he actually could have definitely been higher up because he had a lot of love. I don't know if people didn't get Okeze's name because he didn't come in late because he wasn't on the list, but I think a lot of people did like Okeze a lot. some people mentioned future Survivor Maryland players or seeing stuff like that, or college survivors in general. So it's hard to like. I couldn't really count those up, but know that a lot of you guys did get mentioned. The Michigan people, UVA people, Ohio State people all got some mentions. Going into the top 5, we had votes for 5th place. Brian Scally, who operated on in a lot of recaps, really was a role player for us and did so well that he played in the Survivor Maryland reunion this weekend. So great for Scally, the fallen angel in 4th place at the reunion game. In 4th place of this poll, we have Colin Stone. And Colin going to be very, very sad that he lost out to his podcasting partner, Dom. I did count some votes for both of them. For both, I will say there were some votes for specifically Dom and not Colin. So that's pretty good. That might have been cast by Dom, but I'm not sure. And in 3rd place, just above his podcasting compatriot, it is Dom Harvey from Britain. He had about 21 votes, which is a solid amount out of the like 200, I think, for this category. So solid haul for Dom, and he came in on a few like last second put on pants when I needed him. So thank you to Dom for that. And that means our top 2 are 2 people from the same family, which is a historic moment. It is the Kleins. And neither actually made a full recap appearance, which is kind of funny, but in their short dosages, they made a big impact. I do want to say that there were votes for Faluke, for LeCompte, for some of the Survivor Maryland players, Micah, and I was not counting those. Those don't count. They're players, so they didn't make the poll. But the Kleins, between the Kleins, the winner of the poll is drumroll. I guess I have to do it. Sorry, Katie. By 5 votes, it is Adam Klein himself. Beat out his father.
Wow.
I guess if we gave him the credit for bringing on his father, like that could have been the best move that he actually brought him watch the Micah Boot episode. So I think Adam's dad was robbed in that category, and send your hate mail to Adam that he didn't let his dad win that one. A pretty great moment. Adam actually, I can some more spoilers from this weekend's game is that we voted out Adam 5-4, and he had a steal vote and got voted out 5-4. So
yeah,
that's great. And there's a great moment on Adam's story where he's like talking about it with Chris LeCompte, and then it pans to Victoria, and she goes, "Adam, your dad's gonna call you a dumbass," so, which is pretty much what he did to Micah. So Adam's dad, maybe the biggest robbed person of the night.
Robbed goddess.
Yeah, very, very, very sad. Hopefully he'll come back for a full recap for Survivor Maryland season 6 or something like that. Yeah, never go in there. But a nice win for Adam Klein there, even though he couldn't win the weekend Survivor. So at least he gets that consolation prize. All right, 3 categories left, and then we are done for the night. Can we make it?
Yeah.
All right. Is everybody having fun? We still have 123 viewers, so I think it's been pretty good.
Yes, I'm loving it.
A solid number. Okay. This was the closest poll of the entire night coming up. It's the best challenge poll. And I know these inanimate challenges were very eager to find out who won, but certainly I was enjoying watching the back and forth. There was a point at 500 votes where there was a 3-way tie.
Holy crap.
Which is crazy. So it was really back and forth, down to the wire. Do you guys have a pick for your favorite challenge? And it could be the challenge like design itself or how it played out or whatever. I mean, whatever your favorite challenge to watch was this season.
I still think the first one is a honorable mention just with how absolutely close it was. Like I remember me, you, and who I was probably Alex Burko just like poring over all of the footage that we had, trying to be like, okay, which one actually hit the ground first. That was just like a really intense, and of course it ended up with the iconic LeCompte ripping his shirt moment and all that.
That was the second challenge.
Was that the second challenge?
Yeah.
No, that's what I meant then. Ignore me. But yeah. But that was the domino one being that close was pretty crazy at the end.
Yeah, I agree. That and the light pole challenge was pretty fun to watch.
I think top 3 are light pole, first challenge, and then balloon stomp.
Balloon Stop was cool.
Okay. All right. Well, in 7th place, which is stunning. I think it's a good sign that we had a lot of fun challenges, and this is in 7th place. Steal the Bacon, down in 7th. Pretty low.
Legendary.
Wow.
People were just like, after Evan's concussion, they were just like, you know what? Not the best. Not my favorite. But a nice one. Still always fun.
They wanted
Number 6
blood.
was the counting challenge that Victoria won at the final 8. That was a fun one. The Xfinity Stairs, really cool kind of scenic view, big sprawling challenge, and obviously a moment that people loved. They already talked about it earlier, so that was a fun one. 5th place was the Newlyweds Trivia Challenge, which I did in season 2. I think I don't know if I did it in season 1, but definitely in season 2. And a lot of fun seeing screw up and not get any of Shannon's info correct and other things from that challenge. I got 7.6% of the vote, so 5th place for that one. In 4th place, always a big fan favorite, is the Superlatives Challenge with 10% of the vote. That's a fun one. And that left us with the top 3. Very narrow between all 3. The winner had 144 votes. 2nd place had 125 votes, so the bit at the end. 3rd place, just 2 behind of 2nd with 123. And the top 3, in order of how they appeared on the season, was the opening relay with dominoes, the balloon stomp, which was a new challenge that people really did enjoy a lot, and the pole challenge.
Yes.
Pole challenge was 5. So those are the top 3. So we're gonna do a drum roll. I'll start with 3rd place before the drum roll. 3rd place with 18.7%, but a strong one. The opening relay and dominoes. Such a close ending. A lot of fun.
It was crazy.
Not quite at the top, just because there were some fun ones later on. That leaves the balloon stomp and pole challenge. Here we go. Drum roll. With 21.9% of the vote, it's the pole challenge. 2.5 hours through Holly and Victoria. I think the weight of their history really won them that one.
Yeah.
And how much fun it was. It was more than just a challenge. It was also so much strategy and so much history and tension. And so really fun one there. But Balloon Stomp making its debut season appearance at least in the filming, and a huge breakout star of this season. So good for Balloon Stomp, which may now be canceled after Holly got injured doing it yesterday. Injured forever. All right, 2 categories left. First one is Best Tribal. Thoughts on that one?
Drunk tribal.
The Drunk Tribal was good. I mean, the Shubo getting rocked out is just a huge.
Yeah, I was gonna say rocks too.
Okay.
That was crazy. And then obviously the mic.
All right, 5th place. Oh, sorry, Steve.
Austin, you're up. Oh, there you are.
Did I lose or did Steve go?
No, we're good. I'm here.
Okay. All right. So 5th place, 8.5% of the vote. Senti voted out. The fake idol play. Solid 5th place. Fun tribal council for sure. Huge moment. The fact that that's in 5th place is honestly a testament to how many epic ones there were this season.
Right.
Could have easily been number 1.
Mm-hmm. Most of them could be, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say 2 people voted for I gave nominations for this one, but 2 people still voted for the Fluke and Sabrina tribals. So they went rogue on me. I thought it was better than all the other ones. So sorry for those people. In 4th place, with 9.7% of the vote, Sierra voted out. Drunk Tribal. There it is, down in 4th place. And I think the tough part for Drunk Tribal is that so much of the fun of Drunk Tribal was also the aftermath of Drunk Tribal.
Yeah.
And how you factor that in really affects the vote or not. If you do both of those, maybe it rises up. But just the single tribal, certainly a great tribal, but the outcome people weren't always necessarily happy with. They wanted to see the big move go through. So I think that's what kept it from being at the top. 3rd place with 12.4% of the vote. This one was a bit of a shocker to me. Micah voted out. 3rd place.
Wow.
It was 3rd place out of the tribals. I thought it would crack the top 2. And that leaves us with our top 2, which is in order of their appearance. the Lecomte vote, and the Schubel votes, the rock draw. So our two villains rising to the top of this poll. All right, here we go. The winner had 40.4% of the vote. Second place had 19.3%, so doubling for the winner. And the winner of this category for Best Tribal is Schubel's Rocked Out.
Yeah.
Had to be it.
Absolutely.
Ridiculous tribal.
No question.
Epic from start to finish.
Just Chris Thomas saying it was purple. I know it was after the fact, but just an iconic confessional. The whole scene. It was purple.
I did see a few of those in the best quote thing. That was a pretty funny one.
Yeah, it's so good.
So yeah, Schubel gets rocked out. I mean, not only like I think if we go back, it's you lose the fact that tribal was like very contentious and very fun in the first place with all the hijinks with Alex and then trying to flip him, and then tie happens and everybody's yelling back and forth and clapping, and then the crazy thing about that rock troll, and Katie mentioned earlier about the Guts and Glory one, it's just like Guts and Glory, it was like, oh man, this somber moment, people are sad, and it happens, Alan gets out, Matt, Molly, and Katie are over the side like, yeah, oh my God. Nobody was hiding in All Stars. They were getting up and screaming and fist pumping and cheering and dancing, and I mean, even in the moment too with Eric saying to Shannon that they won the partner twist, I mean, it just was like so crazy in that 30 seconds after the fact. So I think a deserved win there. So that's Best Tribal. We're down to one award for the night. It's Best Episode, which I kind of view as the Best Picture award. But the nice thing is that I win Best Director in all of them. So that's fun. So Best Episode. I will say I put every vote up for this, and 2 episodes received 0 votes. That was episode 2 and 3, which I also thought were the weakest going into the season. That would be the weakest. So I'm glad everybody has the same opinions as how I thought they would. You guys have a thought for Best Episode?
Probably the Rocks one again, honestly. I felt like that was such a big one.
Merge episode. I mean, 2 icons falling like a million hours.
What about Feluke coming in too?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great moment.
They're all
so
good.
many good ones. Okay, I'm gonna go with Feluke.
I'm gonna go with Merge.
Steve, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go with the one I don't remember exactly what number it was, but when Victoria won the counting challenge with Chris and Victoria's hug, and I think that was
Evan went home.
Oh yeah.
It was that started solidifying to get us to where we are today. I think it's big. That was a really fun episode to watch.
Bro show.
All right. In 5th place, there was close to a 3-way tie between 3 of them. So I'm going to name all 3. It was episode 7, the Sabrina fake idol, the drunk tribal fallout. That being in the top like 5 or 7. Again, testament to the season. Like that's a crazy episode from start to finish, from the first second. That was there. The Katie's pick, the Feluke return, Michelle vote episode in a tie for 5th place. That's where it is. So,
Wow.
But people were saying at the time they thought that was the best episode of Survivor Maryland ever. So again, the fact that 5 more came over after that, it's just kind of crazy. But that was a really fun week, and I think there's a case to be made for that one and how just memorable it was. And then the other one mentioned, and that was Steve's pick, episode 13, the Bottom Alliance being totally immune, Victoria winning. That was also in a tie for 5th place. So there we go on that one. So down to our top 4. In 4th place, this one was not mentioned, but I think it is a pretty great one. 7.1% of the vote. It is episode 12, Back to the Bottom, the Shannon vote with Chris Thomas and Victoria winning the partner twist, and also just like all the craziness of the Tops Alliance falling apart. Just
crumbling.
That was going at it.
Yeah, that was where the power shifted.
Yeah, huge power shift there. Finally, I mean, people were really sad to see Shannon go, but ended on a high note with the partner twist community, knowing that 2 of the fan favorites were safe. So a fun one there. The 3rd place with 9.6% was episode 14, Micah's Voot getting another third place in this one. But I actually thought this might make a bigger push for the win. I thought this was a really fun episode, really exciting at the time. The storyline of Micah finding the idol to getting voted out was just so.
How he told everyone that don't vote him.
Yeah.
At the end, if he has the idol and then he finds it, he's like, well.
Yeah, and just like so many fun scenes between Ashley and Eric, kind of like evaluating their status. Chris and Victoria, so much going on. Chris and Holly, Victoria and Holly. I mean, I just thought they were really cool dynamics that whole episode, as the alliances were kind of broken open. Even the Alex and Ashley, like Ashley yelling at Alex scene, or not yelling, but like crying to him was pretty great. So that was a fun one. So that leaves us with our top two, and it's a rematch from the last category.
Oh God, does Shubal beat Lecomte again?
Shubal Lecomte won.
Oh my gosh.
So Shubal won the last one. Also, is pretty much bested Lecomte and everyone for this night.
Again.
Can Lecomte get one win on him with the combined power of him and Fluke? That is our final question tonight. What do you guys think? Which one is it going to be?
I think Shuba's going to take him one more time.
I think so too.
It's almost too perfect.
Anna, are you sticking with your pick?
No, I'm gonna stick with my pick.
Okay. All right. The winner of this one had 32% of the vote. Second place had 15.4%. 206 votes to 99 votes. And the winner of our last category of the night for best episode.
It's so muffled.
It's the merge vote.
Oh,
That's it. Anders gets last one right. Lecomte gets his win over Shubal.
Wow.
Big thing for the merge.
woohoo!
And I love that
beat
episode.
Shubal though in
The
the reunion.
That's true. Also in the reunion weekend.
Oh, the reunion first three votes were tough.
Tough votes for sure. So Fluke and Chris Lecomte get their win. Both get an award to take home for the night. A nice ending for two legends and icons. Love to see that. I'm actually surprised that this held up so well in people's minds. I mean, I love the storylines that were happening those whole two episodes, but I didn't know if people not wanting to see those two go would make it bad, or if it was just too long from now. But there was that 2-week gap before it. But people loved the merge episode. Great stories the whole time, and a pretty clear winner in this. So I was surprised by that, but love to see it because it was something I worked a lot on crafting, and I'm glad that seemed to pay off. So, all right. We've been here for 2.5 hours, which is way longer than I thought we were going to, and I'm so sorry to the three of you for doing that.
Good.
I'm also sorry to myself. It's going to be a mess. I need to sleep. But this was a lot of fun, I think.
Absolutely.
It was really fun.
I hope it was fun in the chat as well for everybody. Oh, it's Survivor Island reunion player Lita Brillman in the chat. But yeah, hopefully it was fun for everybody to watch tonight. Going through the awards, so many fun moments to talk about in the season, fun players, characters, and just great to hear from the three of you and to get to talk to the three of you. I didn't know that I was going to be talking to Anders and Katie in person for the weekend, but whatever.
You're welcome.
Fine.
It was
It
great.
wasn't like it was too much. So, any other thoughts from you guys or from the chat or anything else?
Wait, isn't there a fan favorite award?
No,
No, that's revealed later.
Oh,
But now-
okay. I thought that was like, oh, he's gonna reveal at the end.
No,
it's
that's what I
like
would
at
have
the finale.
at the end. But
Gotcha.
no, I saved that for the finale. You can't. I think you can't vote on it before the season ends.
Yeah. Too much.
We'll reveal that live at the reunion show. How about that?
Okay.
The MVP of the season. Well, probably. I don't know if MVP and fan favorite are different, but I think that can be a question we go for at the season 2. All right, I'm fading literally in front of my eyes right now. I just feel so. I'm gonna go to bed. It's been really fun talking with you guys tonight. To be back for one more live stream before the finale. As I said at the top of the show, Labor Day Monday is the plan. Assuming I can get it all together, I'm optimistic enough that I can. If for some reason it's not, I'll let you guys know. But I really would like to be done with it by then. Thanks for joining with me. I hope you guys have been able to bear the weight, and thank you for promoting it and spreading the word and everything. You know, it's been such a fun run up to this. It's been I've been like both excited for and dreading the end of this, and I will just say this weekend that was given such a great feeling overall, going into the end of this, and I hope the finale delivers as well, and leaves everybody feeling satisfied for this generation and for me. So I can't wait to see you guys then. Follow all the Twitter stuff and whatever places you follow to see if there are any updates. I might try to post an intro to the finale or whatever a few days before it starts, but otherwise you won't hear from me that much. But stay tuned. We'll see what happens, and let me know. Oh, the other big thing I do want to say, and I mentioned this before, that we will try to formally go live with it on finale night, is we are going to try to do some fundraising for charity with some merchandise, and between the shirts, the Forever Immune shirts have already been a big thing. Also, I have the immunity necklaces from the partner twist. I think those would be fun ones if you guys want those. I probably have some shirts and other stuff to give out. So be on the lookout for that if you're interested in both having some merchandise and also supporting some good causes. So.
Oh, we have a sleeping bag that Adam Klein slept in. I mean,
did you leave that here?
well,
it wasn't his. Yeah, yeah, we can do that too. Although I think those things are a little creepy. We have the sock that I wore. No, I'm kidding. Somebody asked if Sunday won unanimously. No, not
It was
true.
really close.
Greg, I'm not crying. I already cried enough this weekend. No more crying. Well, excited to see you guys all, and coming soon. And I've said it all. So I'm going to close off for tonight. Thank you to the three of you for coming on. Anything you want them to follow you on, or you want to promote, or whatever before we go?
Sure. My Instagram is @EndersGame. The letter N, DERS, game, GAME, all one word.
Okay.
I don't have a Twitter, but my Instagram is @HeyKates, HEYKATECZ.
At Sleesman Sent, I'll be trying to give my thoughts on the finale for sure once it comes out. So I'm excited for it. Austin, great work as always. Pleasure to come back and talk to Survivor Maryland. I know I've been hounding you and Chris every week after I watch it, so I'll do my best to watch this one live or as soon as it gets dropped. So clear the Labor Day calendar, as they say.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And any barbecues you guys all get invited to, just say you have commitments. I'm sorry.
Also,
or just make sure they end by what?
No, sorry. Also, season 6 coming out soon. I'll post something eventually.
Yeah, and we can look forward to a teaser for season 6 coming up. Either, I don't know, we'll have to talk about this for sure, but either I'll put it in the All-Stars episode at the end, or we can put it a few days after if you want to put. We'll figure that out. But that's already done. So season 6 trailer will be coming on your horizons very soon, and that will be fun. So thanks to everyone again, and see you guys in the comments, and see you soon.
See you guys.
Can't wait for the
Bye.
finale. See ya. Thanks,
Tweets.
Austin.
Yay.
Woo!